Stocks nicely higher to start things off here this morning, heading into what is expected to be a hotter than expected CPI print coming up here in about 30 minutes. We'll get the inflation data from last month. Expected to be 3 times the prior print. Let's see what happens here. We'll bring that to you live when it does come out. Lots of individual movers to talk about this morning. I was just reading this story on CoreWeave. Anthropic going to be renting space from CoreWeave. So CRWV up big time here. 2 days in a row with just wild action for that one. Tesla moving around a little bit, downside just hearing down to 545. A couple of things yesterday. I mean, big move down 2 days ago for Tesla. We'll touch on that coming up as well. Energy back in focus this morning. A little bit of an uptick here for oil. Really no change, it looks like, as far as the Middle East situation is concerned. The last headlines I was reading before I came on here suggesting that the Strait is still closed, so no traffic getting through as of this morning. So whether or not that will improve over the next coming hours, I mean, it's going to be one of those days where it's very headline driven again, around energy, around everything that's happening with the Iran and U.S. situation. So strap in. Could be a little bit volatile today, potentially. I mean, this inflation print is going to be watched by the market, watched by a lot of people, I think. I mean, 0.9 expected here on the month over month. Last print was 0.3. So, I mean, we're heading in the wrong direction. But with oil, kind of expected, I think.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, too, well, those two headline numbers that you get, food and energy, that's where you're going to see directly the most, right? So you're going to see it in diesel prices. Diesel prices affect the actual cost of food. Hopefully it is, yes, let's use that word, transitory, and it doesn't last for that long, and the Strait opens up. But obviously, overnight, President Trump, with a plethora of tweets covering many different subjects, one of which was, of course, that Iran is not really kind of honoring its commitments to open the Strait. You know, they're asking for fees. Some people were saying that they were asking for Bitcoin specifically. So we'll have to see how that all works out, Brendo. But the headline number expected to come out significantly higher.
Yeah, we'll see how that actually affects the market. I mean, not only are we going to be back above a 3 handle, but back above a 3 handle and then some, which is not good for the overall situation here. So, I mean, as far as the futures are concerned, still looking decent here on the week. My chart is not updating. On the week, 3.7% for the S&P, 4.3% for the NASDAQ. Dow's up nearly 4% as well. So it's been a positive week. Whether or not we can hold on to that, let's see.
It was funny because, like, you looked at we were doing the SPY, obviously, as we typically do yesterday, and we're not that far off all-time highs. No.
Like, that whole move down just got cut in half.
It was like a couple of days that were covered, I would say, a week's worth of selling. That's typically not something we see. We usually see elevator on the way down, escalator on the way back up. It was kind of the opposite of that. But there's a lot of stories to talk about, other than oil, other than all the belligerencies in the Middle East. You mentioned CoreWeave, obviously, with a good look. Lumentum as well, all-time highs. LITE up 5%. This thing can't stop making all-time highs. Taiwan Semiconductor, the most important chip company in the world, reporting fantastic earnings, obviously AI. There is some weakness, again, we spoke about this with respect to mobile. And Tesla, you mentioned Tesla at the top, but there's a lot of articles coming overnight that are not really plussed about this Model 2 or Model 3, whatever the hell he's going to call it, because it's going to be margin compressing, and it's going to take away from production for other things. So we'll see.
And it comes at a time when, you know, he was banging the drums and banging the table, you know, for lack of a better metaphor, on shifting production heavily over to the robotic side and to the AI side. So it's a strange move, definitely. EOG, it's worth noting here, raising their Q1 tax expense outlook in the energy sector. Once again, this thing had a pretty ugly day yesterday, or 2 days ago. But I mean, I think it alludes to, there's been some comments from XOM executives that I was reading at the end of the day yesterday. It alludes to these guys are kind of strapping in and getting ready for maybe this to take a little longer than expected.
It might be. But what the story I really liked yesterday was that they're really continuing to look at energy independence. We heard about Occidental finding some more oil in the Gulf. It's not exclusively theirs. They're sharing it with, I think, Chevron and another company, the name of which is eluding me at the moment. But the point is, you know, The issue for the West, Brendo, so far hasn't been the actual supply. We have a lot of supply. It's been price. It's Asia that is concerned with supply because they rely on the actual oil coming out of the Middle East, whereas Canada, obviously has heavy crude. Venezuela's got heavy crude as well that's refined in the Gulf, and the United States has their own oil.
I've been spending the past couple of days talking with a few people over in Malaysia, completely unrelated to all of this, but the major theme that I've been hearing from them is that, I mean, they were even saying at one point they were told to stay home 1 day a week, so they've been limiting the amount of traffic on the road.
Heard that.
Because they're so heavily reliant on these shipments coming, and the ships just aren't coming at this point. So diesel specifically, as you were saying, really, really affected. So yeah, coming up at 8:30, guys, we'll get inflation from last month. It is expected to be significantly higher than we've seen over the past couple of months with what has been happening. Really not all that surprising, however. Sean with the day off today. Joseph is in his seat. Good morning, guys.
Oh, we got Joe in the big chair. Excited for it, brother.
Yeah, I mean.
Excited for it. We'll get this done for sure. We'll wrap up. It's been a bit of a tumultuous week. Let's be real. Volatility is fantastic for trading, but the ups and downs, left, rights, and centers of what's going on, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's whatever the truth is going to be at any given moment. Right now, you've actually got USO not doing much of anything, but do not forget, like yesterday, forget about all of that turmoil stuff. At the end of the day, we actually had both oil going higher and the markets ending at the highs.
Yeah.
And you had the software names going absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, that was down. And then you had like Intel's a meme stock now, apparently, the way that it's running. You got CoreWeave moving. You got the memory names going ham again with SNDK making some fresh highs. So there's a lot going on outside of just oil that we should be paying attention to.
But to add to the boys behind us, their point on just the fact that essentially all of those losses have been evaporated in the span of a couple of days. You have the SPY was down almost 10%. Now you're only down 4%, 4.5%. You had the NASDAQ doing the exact same thing. Now only down a couple percentage points or the other way around. So it's been a solid recovery. And we talk about this all the time. When there's stocks that have this weight or the overall market has this weight on their shoulder and it lifts it, you see the trajectory that these things can go on. And then once this comes to a complete conclusion, I think at some point, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if you see the SPY and the Qs at a new all-time high. I just think that's the path that we're on, and I'm going to call it here first.
There it is. You made the call. When you said it just like that, it reminded me of this. There's just some dude who wanted to see what it would be like if he just lived in a weighted vest. So this mofo, he's probably some fitness influencer. So he just goes around for like a couple of weeks or whatever. He's literally, no matter what he does, he's wearing a weight vest. He's showering the stupid thing. He's doing his everyday life in the weight vest. And he tests himself like before, like push-ups and pull-ups.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
so much fat. Yeah. The explosion is insane.
Because like a lot of it's just like it's like a lot of it's psychological, right?
Yeah.
Like you just get used to it, so you feel stronger. You probably didn't get that much stronger. No, but like the market has had that overhang on it. The question for me is, can some of the software names, which have been badly beaten up, try to catch some bids? Because if you saw that destruction yesterday, and oh my god, like Palantir already tested the lows. Like forget about trying to bounce. Like this was down 8%, I think at the most. You had like Snowflake, which we barely even talk about, was 11 or 12%. I mean, just go up and down the line. IGV is a group just getting absolutely smashed all day. And so if there's a bid here, that would do wonders to having the market try to hold on to some of these gains. But you know what? 8:30, we get CPI, and a lot can change.
One thing, CPI as well. That's going to be big, but we're also rolling into earnings season as well, which I think is going to be a massive teller of where we can possibly go. But I mean, hey, listen. Fib Trader, I'm saying it here. Like, I mean, we talk about some other names that had a lot of weight over the shoulder, and I'm going to use that Google Apple example. And look what happened when the judge ruled in their favor. Look what happened to Google and the path that it went on. So if you ask me what is really weighing the market down right now, I think you have to go with the conflict in the Middle East. Once that comes to a conclusion, are you going to put it past like the amount? But like, think about it, the amount of money that these guys are spending, and then you're seeing Amazon starting to see ROI as well too, going to be selling their own custom
Meta's
chips.
new model.
Meta's new models. So like
time downloads on the
exactly. So we have things going for these hyperscalers, and if we're going to climb higher, then I think that they're going to be the ones that are going to lead us. And the only one that didn't touch bear market territory was Apple, only down 14%. You got to take it, and NVDA, but the rest of them were all down 20+%. Microsoft is down 30+% from its lows.
Well, Microsoft gets lumped in a little bit, but I think the question of when the conflict ends, like nothing, hopefully won't go on forever. That's a big one, because ultimately, like even stretching it out a couple of extra weeks, 3, you start to bake in all kinds of price increases, right? Like it's not just about oil. Like there are so many, like there's so many chemicals, components that come out of the Middle East that are affecting supply chains and will continue to do so, and that's going to be a bit of a drag.
Yeah.
So we are beholden to that, and the CPI number coming hot could change things for today, but we could go a day where we don't have some kind of major headline and we don't know anymore than we did before. And obviously, I think we get the banks starting with earnings. We'll get ASML, which will be another good bellwether for the AI trade and the chip trade. By the way, TSM with fantastic numbers last night. TSM's breaking out. Like, look at this sucker. Like this.
I know.
How's that for a break?
SanDisk as well.
SanDisk
crazy.
So we'll see.
But to add to your point, like I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but I don't know. I just have a hard time not believing you have earnings coming up, and then to add to your point that things aren't going to turn around as quickly as we may seem here on the chart. But if things start to cool off and the supply chain slowly starts to fix itself, then what you're going to tell me that the SPY in a period of X amount of time can climb 2.3%?
We're not that.
Like that can happen in a couple of sessions. You know what I mean? It only needs to touch a little bit higher. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to happen, but I wouldn't put it past this market considering the run that we've been on. And look how long we were consolidating around these highs as well.
I feel like I should have joined everybody else wearing white shirts today, and you should be wearing the green shirt because Joey Options is the most bullish person around here. So I see these boys chatting away. Brandon Sharif, I had a question for you. Joey Options just laid the gauntlet down. He says SPY makes all-time highs. What do we say, in a week?
No, longer. I'm not going to put I'm not going to put a timeline on it.
But hold on. You got to put it.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
It's always going back to all-time highs.
Okay, yeah. So that's fair.
Give me a date.
I'm going to say by the middle of summer.
Oh, that's easy. Light work.
Bang.
Light work.
Right?
I don't have the bang up. I don't have the bang.
We got the bang here.
I get too many pages on this. You know what? I saw Robin send us a thing in the chat, and it was like a monitor screen, like wide but like thin, that you could just make a gigantic like a stream deck on.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. So I wouldn't have to go back pages and pages.
Yeah. They have those. But for the CoreWeave here, Brandon was talking about this not too long ago. Stocks up, guys, 4.3% in the morning, a multi-year deal with Anthropic. So, I mean, another big contract for one of these software plays and these AI plays, because we know that Oracle and OpenAI are tied together. Now you have CoreWeave with Anthropic. So I think we got a big time duel of these new software plays.
Oh, big time duel. And CoreWeave's going to be on the watch. That's on my list today. After the way it dipped and ripped, how can you not be looking at CoreWeave today? Before we go back up to the desk, we got a super chat from Adam James Abroad. I feel you. If I bought SNDK, not SoFi, I'd be a millionaire. Well, one of these things is not like the other. I feel you. I wish I had sold, well, you could say wish. I wish I had sold all of SoFi, but I can't bring myself to do it. And I'm still waiting for this thing to turn around. And this is a reality here. You've got a situation where these memory stocks and so many people and, oh, this looks like a top and these are going so far and all that stuff. But the trend is your friend, man. And once you have something on a trend, if it doesn't actually show signs of breaking it, oh goodness, this might actually be You could make some arguments that there was an attempt to break the second leg of this trend here, but we haven't done anything with it on SoFi. When you look at the other side of that, on the memory stocks, there hasn't been that moment, really, for SanDisk. It's maintained the uptrend. Even when it consolidated, it was bullish in a bull flag. Micron had those massive earnings and still got sold off. I think we get SanDisk in 3 weeks or just under 3 weeks, on the 30th of April, I do believe. I would say this. After the reaction that Micron got to their earnings, even though it was a blowout, it would be hard-pressed for me to think that SanDisk, it would have to be so big. We said this last night. It would have to be so big for them not to sell off. It was just a weird reaction to that huge report from Micron. And we sat here live, and we're like, oh my goodness, these numbers are ridiculous. And we came in the next morning, it's like, what is going on with Micron? And that eventually pulled back about 20-25%. So I think it's earnings that you might be the most concerned with SanDisk, not because they won't be great, but because it's just been going so ham. But for now, ride the wave while you can. They've been absolute beasts, no questions asked. I don't know what's going to be moving for the small cappers today, Sharif, but I will tell you there's no shortage of gappers in the big stocks.
Sharif knows we could figure that out right now, Neil, if we want.
What do you got?
Yeah, we got the small cap scan to see we got AIXI back in play. But what is it, brother?
YA.
Okay, all right. We don't have that one up there yet, so we'll let Sharif take care of the small cap for now.
RAYA is breaking out here, Brendo, if I could just cover this for a second. 91%, guys. We're on our way to 90 pennies. This is an aggressive breakout on volume. We had about 5.3 million shares per 5-minute candle, and this one is really taking off. It's obviously a different trade north and south of the dollar, so that has to factor in to how you approach this. But I love these ones that actually break out in the aftermarket but have the strength to continue in the pre-market.
Yeah.
It kind of adds validity to the trade a little bit. RAYA is the one I'm talking about.
I just wanted to go back to what the guys were talking about for a second here with the overall market situation, just to like put a visual kind of explanation behind this. I mean, that's a weekly candle right now for the SPY. It's a little bit hard to see, but let me zoom in here.
Oh, wow.
That's the weekly candle right now for the SPY. So, I mean, not only did we take back half of this move down, I would say it's actually more like 75% of this move down has already been taken back. So, I mean, all-time highs, yes. When? A couple weeks? Like, what if the CPI print comes out this morning and it's actually flat or slightly down?
Or better, better than expected. Yeah. And how about the fact that we're about to be in earnings season again? And so we'll have to see, you know, if earnings start doing well, where we get to. Do we hit that 7,000 on the SPY? Do we hit 55,000? And so President Trump can be like, you know, 55,000 on the Dow, or, you know, start shaking his hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. And I really do feel that we're going to hit all-time highs if earnings come in as aggressively as they did last quarter.
I bought more of the market yesterday, so let's see. I'll happily do more so today if it continues in this direction. If oil starts flowing, shipping, I don't know, out of the Middle East a little bit more frequently and a little bit more on schedule, then why not?
Did you hear that Lebanon and Israel, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to the United States next week for discussions on a truce? Hopefully it kind of holds both ways, but President Netanyahu yesterday came out and basically said that he was receiving pressure from the United States to end that part of the conflict. So obviously the Strait can open up. Do you feel maybe the ball is rolling in the right direction? Generally, right, with some obviously loose ends.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I mean, we went through, you know, what was it, a month almost, I guess, where it just seemed really, really bad and wasn't definitely not going in the right direction. That's the cues on the other side of the spectrum here. So tech lagging a little bit, let's be honest, as it has been since the beginning of the year. But, I mean, if that's the high, we're still more than 50% of the way back here to all-time highs for tech. And you bring up a good point in the earnings side of the situation here. Banks next week, but we're not really into the heart of tech specifically for another 2.5, 3 weeks really before we get the big of the big. So it's still going to be a while.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of bellwethers on the way, right? Especially for tech. We get, I think, the Metas and the Googles and the I think Apple and Amazon are typically the same week, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we'll get those ones first, and they're monster bellwethers, and we've seen Meta really recover. Amazon had a fantastic day yesterday. Microsoft continues to lag.
And going back to last week, I think it was, there was a couple of investment banks, Goldman Sachs, I believe, was one of them that came out and said, at some point, these are buys. Is it now?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
And the banks got hit really hard.
No, I mean, the bank's saying tech specifically, at some point, these are buys. And, you know, maybe going into an earnings season where we do start to see, there's been a couple of, I want to say it was Thursday or Friday of last week, there's been a couple of positive notes on Apple and iPhone delivery or shipments specifically being higher than expected. And not only higher than the 16 on the 17, but, you know, reaching 10, 12-year marks for actual shipments. So whether or not we see the NASDAQ specifically get to all-time highs first or not, doesn't really matter, obviously, but if we're going to see the market make another leg higher, these names have to participate.
Absolutely, and we've got another headline about that exact same issue today. Apple with global shipments declining 6% year over year. Apple bucking the trend big time. Apple shipments growing 5% year over year and taking the #1 spot in terms of market share for smartphone market in Q1. Of course, that's the first time ever, according to the report. But yeah, what I did notice was it was an aggressive sell-off last week on Apple, or earlier this week. You know, the weeks blend in together, based upon their rumors that there was maybe technical or engineering difficulties with the new foldable phone that's supposed to make its way out this September with the launch of the iPhone 18. A lot of speculation about this. Even Marquez Brownlee, who doesn't typically like to speculate as much as some other YouTubers, was showing the leaked sort of design, which goes out for, I guess, some of their suppliers. It's shorter, wider, and when you open it up, it goes into that 16:9 format. So it's not that weird square that you can't watch videos on, and it's completely useless. It looks like a book. What am I going to do with a book, right?
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, rumored.
I was watching, he put out a video, I think it was on one of the Asian brands that had a new foldable phone. And it was titled something like "We're at peak foldable phones" or something like that.
I watched that on the airplane.
And it's so true from the standpoint that it just seems like they're getting to a point where they don't know what else to do.
I think it was a Xiaomi one.
It might have been one of those, or that O company.
That's right, Honor.
No, is it Honor?
Was it
O?
O?
I can't think of it. Anyways, Joseph, save us. He has options over at the screen.
I'll do my best, guys. All right, welcome. Let's take a look in some of the options activity from yesterday, guys. We're going to kick things off with Amazon. Amazon was on a substantial run yesterday. They're starting to see a return on investment with all this AI spend, and this is essentially what you want to see with all this CapEx. So we're going to kick things off, guys, with this $235 strike price. We're going to get into a little bit more here momentarily, but first things first, we're going to look at the open interest, okay? This is substantial. 39,600 contracts at that specific zone, with 62,000 traded and opened and closed on the session. That's quite a bit. It was third on the list, once again behind the SPY and the Qs. So that's a lot, speaking for Amazon, which typically isn't in the top 5 as per volume per day. All right, so once again, it's going to be expiring next week, though, guys. We're going to be moving over a strike price, not this Friday, but next Friday is when we want to look at this specific zone. You're going to see a congestion area within these strikes from 230 up to 240 with a lot of open interest. But what we are going to look at is our delta and our gamma metrics here, guys. Our delta is increased $4.60. So for every $1 change, you're going to see a $46 change in the underlying, and then your gamma exposure as well. Before we get into At the Money IV, I just want us to take a look at the actual appreciation of the contract. We were trading around $30 roughly around the open, and then now you're trading north of $3.50. That was almost over a 450% return on this contract alone. Now, as for an implied volatility, guys, 32.2% there. That's a substantial increase.
Oh, back to Joe.
Also continuing to climb a little bit higher. Open interest at 21 8,300 with volume around 8,760. Once again, we're going to go to that next Friday expiration cycle. And you can see here our bid and the ask relatively tight. That is going to be good for Netflix just due to the fact it's a $3 spread. But once again, we're going to be looking at this 105 strike price. We're a little bit south of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we can head into that neck of the woods. We broke through a key pivot here on Netflix throughout the previous days, and we've been on a substantial run ever since they stepped out of that bidding war. Now, as for the delta, guys, relatively cool because it is still slightly out of the money, and gamma exposure, cool as well. It's going to be the greatest when it is at the money, but implied volatility sitting at 58.5%. Before we move on, once again, I want us to look at the appreciation of these contracts from an intraday standpoint. That is what really attracts traders and investors to the derivatives market, is because you have these substantial returns in a short period of time. When the underlying asset from an intraday standpoint only climbs a couple of percentage points, you have these triple digit and even sometimes a little bit higher returns in the contracts. Now, moving forward, guys, we're going to do a little something different here. Now, what I want us to do essentially is to pull up or mark these two levels here on IBIT. We're going to be talking a little bit about Bitcoin. So we're going to mark a support level of $38 and a resistance zone of around $45. But essentially what I'm getting at here is you can see that we've been consolidating for quite some time. Now, what I'm pointing out from an options standpoint, which I think is extremely important, is for those who are familiar, I've essentially established an iron condor for us here with a $38 strike price and a $45 strike price here on the call side. So essentially that's a range that we can potentially close in come the 24th of April. But now I think what's really important to note, considering we're in some bullish sentiment lately, is that essentially if one of the sides of the contracts don't work, you can always close it. But I do like what we have on the put side. You're going to be collecting substantially more than double. And if Bitcoin decides that it wants to go on a rally, your put will outweigh your short call, and you can close that, especially if you have a proper stop loss in there. So I really like this potential trade, even a bull put spread on Bitcoin. If you want to go the Condor route, you can do a bear call and a bull put at those specific strike prices and still collect over $60 per contract combination.
Thanks, as always, Joe, at the big screen, looking fresh and clean. Love the big screen look. That's what we're trying to do around here, always get bigger and better. Before we get into some of those names, Netflix is in play today, IBIT's going to be in play today, and we'll talk about them. But for any trader out there, if you are an equity trader and you happen to be looking to scale, then Prop Shop Trader is a multi-asset proprietary trading firm designed to remove the typical barriers traders face. You can trade stocks without pattern day trading restrictions and no licensing requirements, while also accessing futures markets within the same environment. Prop Shop Trader offers both day trading and swing trading programs, giving traders the flexibility to manage multiple accounts and deploy different strategies. Why risk your own capital when you don't have to? Scan the QR code to unlock 60% off your first account, plus a buy one, get one free. Get started today and enter the arena. Well, jumping back, Netflix is interesting to me. We always talk, there's always like that gravity that heads you toward those big strikes. And I'd love for this to get to the 105, because as you mentioned, ever since Warner Brothers was going to Paramount Skydance, much to the chagrin of some, it finally broke away from the 100. It hasn't made a fresh high yet. We still have a rejection at 102.5, but good consolidation, higher lows. Every single day this week has been a higher low. If you follow the pattern, if I do something like this, you follow that pattern, I think a pullback into like 100 area is certainly possible. But I think this is one where if it fills in the gap, you've got to be ready to step in and look for the dip high. The trend has been fantastic with it. And whether it goes and gives you a little bit of a bid for like $1 or catch the reversion and get $1, or yesterday where it broke out and went ham, either way, buying the dip on these higher lows has made a lot of sense over there in Netflix. We have 1 minute to go, and hopefully CPI doesn't throw some kind of a monkey wrench into the plans, because we've been slightly higher all morning. USO is slightly trending down, although we've seen this party before. What USO does early tends to not matter that much. Like, it can be slightly down, then slam. slightly up and then slam down. So it'll be CPI we got to watch. Will it affect the markets? We do not want this to be too hot, Brendan.
Let's get a look at what we are expecting here. 0.3%, as we mentioned off the top. If you joined us at 8 o'clock, let me zoom in maybe a little bit just so it can be viewed. 0.3% is the forecast. Again, March CPI coming out here in less than a minute. Prior was 0.2%. The overall number down here, 3.2%. I've actually seen 3.3% expectations in a couple of places this morning. Would be three times higher on a month-over-month basis, which is a big jump considering what we've been seeing the past little while, past 6, 8 months even. It's been 0.1, 0.1, 0.1 kind of thing, up or down or even flat prints for the most part here. A few other things coming through right now. My screen has not cooperated here. Let me go to a different monitor and see if I can pull this up. Do you see that number at all? I do not have it here yet. So we are, oh, there we go, 2.6%. Core inflation, 2.6%, slightly downside versus 2.7 expected. So a little better here, guys. Month over month, 0.2%. Again, 0.3 was expected for March CPI. The big number, however, the overall headline, 3.3%, in line again with some expectations that I saw this morning, 3.2, the forecast on this page. So a slight, maybe 0.1% miss, depending on where you look, maybe in line with expectations. Still, a decent jump on a month-over-month basis. We're back above that 3 handle, but I mean, could have been worse. Again, month-over-month, 0.2 versus 0.3.
Exactly.
Core, specifically, which is, I think, a little bit more key at this point, 2.6% versus 2.7. A little bit more key because you take out energy, as you were saying, energy and food from that.
Exactly, and I think that that's a win, especially with CPI core 0.2, as you mentioned, versus the 0.3, and then you also have the headline 3.3 versus 3.4. Obviously, if you're looking at a year-over-year comparison or month-over-month, it doesn't look good, but we already had that priced in, knowing that energy prices are where they are. I think this is decent, Brendo. I think we probably trend nicely on this.
Market liking that, guys. We're coming back in right away. The initial move, however, to the upside, again, if you're just joining a little bit late, a little bit, tiny, 0.1% on a month-over-month basis, better than expected March CPI print, guys.
Again, it's about the expectation. Some are like, why are we bumping up when prices are going higher? Well, because it was probably easy to predict that with oil prices getting shocked that you were going to see it. And we've seen inflation, but I never want to overreact to the 830 numbers. Initially, we're looking good. We've already given a little bit of it back, but you know, the Qs here were slightly green, and they're still very much slightly green. Nothing too crazy just yet. We're getting a few higher lows. We did get a bunch of super chats. We missed like 3 super chats in here, so I want to run these in. I know we're gonna have Michael Noss coming on through, and we'll let you know if the markets move anymore after that number. We got Luis Suarez, the footballer, asking Joby or Archer, which one will become the next Tesla? Just kidding, which one will do better?
That's a good question.
Joby's like half the size with a less ridiculous price to sales. Neither one's making any money right now. But like, I'm pretty sure it was like the last time I looked at Archer, it was like 100 times sales, and Joby was at least in double digits, and maybe like a quarter of that. That's the best that I could give you from a valuation standpoint, but neither one of those charts look particularly good. Let them break the trend. They've just been falling knives, and now I don't have a dog in that fight either. Jeff Spencer with 5 Canadian dollars. Gotta hit that. Gotta read this one, brother.
All right, let's go. Good to see Joey Options in the big chair this morning. Are we getting a sticky note out of him today? Hey, man, I think my sticky note was essentially over there at the screen. Right? I mean, hey, man, I can't copy what Sean's doing. We got to come up with our own thing here. And so you got to go back a couple of minutes and see how we smashed it over there on the screen. And we were talking about IBIT potential trades. You can use it via equities as well, too. We were talking about Netflix and Amazon as well. But I think the overall market, considering we had CPI this morning, is going to be in play as well. We had that pop, and we're starting to come back in a little bit. But there's multiple trades throughout here. But, I mean, we can't take what Sean has. We got the big screen back there. We're going to rock and roll with some of those plays, and then we'll take a look at some other ones potentially as well, too.
Well, I know IBIT's on mine, so I like that look that you got. And golf franchise, I know one more, and then we'll get to the man in plaid, our good friend Michael Noss. See, and I can already see Michael Noss is bucking the trend and not wearing the white shirt like everyone else is. 2 AI stocks to go along this morning from golf franchise likes Flex and DLR. Well, I don't know about anything that has 5,000 shares worth of volume. Now, I get it. I mean, obviously, we don't automatically know time frames that everyone's talking about here. And again, anything with an upward trend is going to look fantastic. But I can tell you, this is not day tradable. When I can pull it up, I can easily tell whether we have liquidity. It's a $2 or $1.50, $2 spread. So fantastic stock, but one that I don't think any day traders are going to be prone to getting in when you have that kind of a wide spread, very low volumes as well. Digital Reality Trust, like it's going to be a very similar story as well. Oh, another super chat. Okay, I said we had one more.
Yeah, we had a whole.
Then we got another super chat from the Grand Fam. Neil, you trade with Intel using the 1 minute trend line. I use a 3 minute, not a 1 minute. Did you take enough wiggle room after you stopped at a move direction? So actually, the funny thing about it, when I look back at it, when you use a trend line, you're basically you're drawing it yourself. And early on in the day, like you can misplace a stop. I've done it before. Like this was the trend it started observing. So you put in a higher low, and then right in here is where I was getting involved. And I got wicked out on this when realistically the stop should have been here, right? Like this is technically the prior bar, and it should have been at like 60 even. And I had my stop misplaced. Now ultimately, I would have gotten like an extra 50 or 60 cents out of it, which would have been great. That for me, that would have doubled up the trade. But that's not even the problem. The problem was not getting back in when it then doubled up here. By that point, I was sort of focused on the other trades that were working in the moment. But you can always just jump back into it on a support trade. Like getting trailed out because this didn't work didn't really matter. Like the bigger moves happened in the afternoon. Like that, you could have just had that back right in here. And I was never looking at that absolute bottom. Like those little wipeouts, if you can catch that, that's where you have to go to like a 1, sometimes even like a 5-second chart if you're looking for a curl off that bottom. But yeah, it was just a misplaced stop. But I have hard rules when it comes to when I'm playing on trend or playing a trend break. I just find that if something works for me to the point where like I'm profitable doing the general strategy week after week, month after month, then I get very binary about it because I know that breaking the rule is the thing that breaks the trade, in my opinion. So yeah, sometimes I literally misplaced the stop yesterday.
There goes RAYA before we up 101% Sharif over here. I don't
Is that the one you called out?
No, I think Sharif called this one out. He said, I'm missing out on this one. It seems to be the case so far as it's breaking through up 104% here this morning already. So a big time mover. No Hall parameters in the pre-market, Sharif. See, I listen a little bit, I guess, here and there, maybe. I don't know. Selective hearing, I guess.
I remember you used to trade small caps, but you used to take them south. I remember you mostly south.
Yeah. I mean, and it was more on the back of what we were talking about with Luis, the simple fact that it seemed like, I had no data to back that up at the time, but it seemed like the path of least resistance at some point throughout the day was going to be down. It was just a matter of when.
It's to me, the only kind of reservation is the locates. Number one, the price of locates and the quickness of getting locates. Sometimes you miss your spot, this and that.
It's one of those things where you will go through days where there just aren't any, or it's super expensive, and you just got to pass. And it might be a great trade, but you just can't be involved. So, market coming right back in here, which is not the greatest sign, I'll be honest, if we want this to be a green day. I mean, again, just to zoom out a little bit, we're still nicely positive on the week right across the board here for all 3 major indexes. So constructive, I think, from a higher standpoint. As we were saying, we've taken back a huge chunk of these down moves in indexes overall. Just seeing some metals moving around. Yeah, silver just made a nice move. SLV anyways, back to 69, coming back in a little bit. GLD as well, back to the upside. Nice little spike up to 439.50, coming back in a little bit. So, I mean, there's going to be opportunities here this morning. Just to recap, if you're joining a little bit late, again, CPI slightly 0.1% better than expected, depending on where you look. I've seen a couple of people basically saying in line with expectations. 3.3 was the headline overall number, 3.3%. So yes, it's not good from we're back in a 3 handle perspective, but always could be worse.
Well, absolutely. And one must hope that this is temporary and energy prices drop down. But this does put into question the Fed environment that we've been speaking about in, for whatever the rest of this year. Talking about 2 cuts earlier on in the year, then we were talking about 1, then we started talking about none, and then that dreaded word or that dreaded phrase, rate hikes, started rearing its ugly head as obviously oil prices continue to rise and inflation continues to rise. The central bank's got to get a handle on things. And we were talking about that in this country as well. Can you imagine with the delinquencies that we're seeing already in mortgages, if we get a rate hike from the Bank of Canada? And that was basically the worst case scenario because so many of these COVID era mortgages were up for renewal last year and this year. And the hope was that they'd be coming in at lower rates, right? So that you wouldn't be balancing that whole negative equity.
Not the
that
case.
Threw a bit of a curveball.
I read an interesting article on that note last night. The title grabbed me right away. It was, "Why are Canadian bond yields spiking so much right now?" And I mean, that's a topic for another story or another day. But I apologize. We've been very rude to Michael Noss, making him sit here and wait for a few minutes. But lots going on this morning. Happy
I'm just
Friday.
watching the show. Right? I'm just hanging out watching the show. Probably what I'd be doing anyway.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Let's jump right in because there's lots to consider here, I think, this morning. And one of those things, as we mentioned to start things off here this morning, earnings season right around the corner here. Going into next week, we'll get some of the banks again. Banks typically pre-market. Some of the bigger headliners going to be 2 weeks from now, 2.5, 3 weeks from now, but it's always good to have something else maybe to focus on from the market perspective.
Yeah, and now that we seem to be in kind of ceasefire territory, I think this is where focus will drift to next. So I just want to talk a little bit about earnings from like a broad data perspective, right? I'm not going to be the guy who's going to predict what company is going to report what earnings, but these are important, even though it's not, again, really my area as a CMT. But you can see how earnings kind of affect price here. So this is just a chart where we have the blue line as being just the S&P 500. It's going all the way back to, I think, 1950 here. And then this orange line is the earnings on average for those S&P 500 stocks. So you sum up all the earnings and you just chart that line as well. And you can see they travel pretty closely together. When earnings are increasing, generally so is prices. When earnings are decreasing, generally so are prices. So, it makes sense, right? I don't think you need to be a CFA or anything to say if companies are making more money, then their stock prices will go up over time. And that's what we see. And the next chart, again, is just zoomed in here and just kind of showing that when earnings starts to drift lower, that's generally speaking when you start to get pullbacks in the market. This is the first arrow is 2000, the next arrow is 2008, the one after that was 2015, which was another 2015-16, which is another bearish market a little bit. But you can see every time they dip. And the important thing to note is that these aren't one leading the other, but at some point, what we know about these two lines is that they are going to have to agree. If you have earnings going up, at some point you have to have stock prices going up because it means on a relative basis, the market's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and vice versa. If prices are going down, you would expect at some point earnings are going to go down with them. But there is something interesting happening right now, and that's why I wanted to bring this next chart to you guys, in which, we've had earnings kind of increase all year, including the end of this year and into last year, but prices have not yet. So prices were still down. This chart's a couple days ago, but even with earnings last quarter being better than normal and getting into a new all-time high than they did, prices haven't seen this new all-time high. So we've had this divergence kind of take place between earnings when we're going to see earnings and prices. So basically it means one of these lines are wrong. We don't know which one yet, but I think it makes this earnings season really pivotal because if we see an uptick in earnings, then I think some point soon, we're going to see that continuation in stock prices. But if price is right here and price is pulling back before we get these earnings reports, then we could start to see this pullback in earnings, and that could kind of be our next catalyst, because the last catalyst that brought us down is, so far, for now, at least 2 weeks, is kind of out of the way. So the market's always looking for that next catalyst. So earnings is coming up, and with price still being down on over the last couple months, that has me a little bit worried that even though, again, first quarter earnings were okay and the last quarter earnings were okay, we're getting this price diversion. So when will we know? And the last chart here is just a bar chart of the number of S&P companies that will report earnings by date. So it looks around April 27th, May 4th, like that week of. That's when we get most of them out of the way. And that cumulative line that I've shown you could be updated and estimated with some degree of certainty. So that could lead to an incredibly choppy month as they start to figure this out, because the market has a little bit of fear going into this earnings season. So if we blow it out of the water, then great, we have prices catch up and we have the fuel for the next catalyst higher, which is something that people have always been looking for. I know they're looking to the Fed, but in this case, I think it's going to be earnings if they kind of pick up and blow out of the water. However, if earnings disappoint, it shows that price was right, and we'll have earnings kind of come down to meet price. So more than most earnings season, I think this is one to really focus on and to kind of shut out the noise of a lot of the other things that might be going on in the news, because I think that the market is really, really focused on what these earnings are going to come through. Of course, we're talking the S&P 500, so Mag 7 is going to be a really big deal. But like Brendan mentioned, I always like to look for banks. I think banks are a really good earnings sign because A, they report first, and B, everyone's a customer at a bank, right? NVIDIA is a customer at a bank, and Microsoft and all of Apple and everything. So with these bank earnings coming up, I think we might get a little more information here.
That's the key. Everyone has to put money somewhere, right? So yeah, I mean, it's an underlying tool in that way. Just to recap, a couple of people were mentioning the color differentiation here. Like, just recap. Blue is, correct me if I'm wrong, blue is market, the orangey gold color is earnings, correct?
Yep. So that is the sum of all of the earnings for the S&P 500 names. So you take all the money that they all made and you add them up, and that's why it's more jagged, because it can only get plotted officially kind of once a quarter. And yeah, you can see that, again, generally you're going to move a little bit together, right? The tariff tantrum notwithstanding, but unless the crash is kind of fast, then generally happens because companies are making less earnings for some reason.
If we get, if that trend, let's say, continues, market comes in a little bit further. I mean, it's not, let's be honest, but if it were to come in a little bit further and we still see that earnings separation happening where earnings are fine, maybe flat, or maybe, a slight uptick, all signs point to buy, correct?
Yeah, because it's simply, there's us as technicians, we follow price and momentum and things like this, but then there's the whole other group, the Warren Buffetts and everything, and they're looking at, okay, what is the price of the market versus how much of the components of that market are making money? And if, say, earnings stays flat and price continues to go down, that's just getting cheaper on a relative basis. It's just saying, okay, well, I was spending X amount for the earnings of these companies before. Well, now that prices come down, I can get that cheaper. And then you start to see a lot of your value investors, right? Again, your Warren Buffett type start to saying, okay, well, the market's a little more attractive. And then it also helps dispel a lot of fears there. If you're buying something that you're worried about going down at a discount, well, you're going to feel a little bit better about that, because then if whatever worst case does happen, at least you're not buying it when it's expensive. So this is what you'll hear when you hear fundamental guys say, the market is cheap right now or expensive. They're using this ratio to, our earnings growing versus where's price been over the last little bit.
All right, we will, fascinating. Let's see what happens. Again, banks to kick things off Monday, which is kind of a change. We don't typically get major companies reporting Monday, but it's coming fast and furious, and then we're into, as we saw there, not next week, but the week after, going to be the big one where we'll start getting most of the S&P 500, including some of the tech names. So have a great weekend, sir. We'll see you Monday.
Talk to you Monday. Have a good weekend, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Michael. And we start with the banks, and they're primed for an opportunity to blast off. And you saw a little bit of a sign of it when it released some pressure when oil futures released some pressure and we got that bounce up in the market, you had a monster breakout in the XLF, like right through some support at 51 and then breaking it out to a bit of a double top. But then you start to think about what's also going on here in the higher time frame. What up, Brad? Is still in the corner. On the higher time frame, is you're now back above the 50 period. The pressure is on. Like we've got the conflict. We've got the conflict going on. We've got the credit crunch. There's been a lot weighing on these as a group, and we're starting to look really strong here for potential breakout. I just wanted to see this over 50, and we've done even more than that. So I think there's an appetite for a little bit of, I would say inside, but even if it does an inside day, if it were to fire to support, that still gives you a percent, maybe a percent more that you could work with. Keeping in mind that we didn't move too much here on the CPI print. It was mostly in line, if we're being honest, and mostly in line was also going to be hot because we have had a bit of an increase. The credit crunch isn't completely gone. You still have the private lending markets having a bit of private credit, still a bit of an issue.
And that's exactly what I was going to get out as well. So it's like we look at these overhangs and these weights on some of the names, like you have the conflict going over. And then I was going to mention, as for the banks, you have that private credit issue as well. So what happens when things start to cool off? JP Morgan and the larger banks, Bank of America, Citigroup, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs, start coming out with fantastic numbers. What's going to happen? Some of these stocks were already at like a 15% discount, right? Like it's like we go through the Mag 7 names and they're down 20, 22%, 18%. Like how much more are we going to expect for them to? Obviously, they can drop substantially more, but at some point, if the market's holding up this well and the larger participants start to rebound, what's going to happen? It's going to lift a rising tide. Essentially lifts also.
Well, you said how close the SPY was to the highs. The financials are still over 10% away as a group.
Exactly.
That's a lot. That's a lot of room to run. It doesn't take, and I'm not here to tell you they were going all the way up. I mean, there's some data out there showing the retail sentiment on these rips has been selling into them.
Yeah.
So like, there's not even that much optimism in the retail space. Everybody, you guys tell me what you think. Actually, let's put a poll. I'm going to get a poll up for that.
Get the poll up.
Yeah, let's get a poll up for that one. Okay, so we're going to go custom poll. We're going to say on this bounce in SPY, sell the rip, hold to highs. I'll just go hold. Sell the rip and hold. I'm only giving you two options. So what do you think? We bounce into the highs, or at least call this the recovery rally, whatever you want, whatever you want to call it. We'll start the voting. You type 1, you're selling into this and taking profits on the way up, or a hold, which I think would be, to your point, that we're going to go all the way to the top. So I want to see what the viewers think. Right now, it's instantly 70%, over 70% saying sell into this rip. So still bearish. And remember, we've been giving you 1 million polls a day. And almost every single time I put a poll up, it is like 50-50 and no definitive direction. Right now, sell into the rip. So even if we think we're going higher, a lot of people are sell into the rip. We have a different mentality here. It is not the same just buy and hold forever. And I get it. And some positive sentiment that Michael was talking about there, and a lot of good-looking charts, but it's what you do with the gains that still puts you a little bit of pause. So there's still that, even if things get resolved, you have a lot of supply chain disruption and cost increases are going to work their way through the markets. You still have this whole, is it just me, or did we stop being concerned about CapEx spend? That hasn't happened. We still also have the last earnings season where overall, how many times did we turn around, do the aftermarket show at the desk, see fantastic numbers, and then try to explain why the stock was not going up? Or if it did go up in the aftermarket in last earnings season, we'd come in the morning and we'd be sitting here right in front of all of you saying, well, now it's all of a sudden we were up 5% and now it's down 3%. That's what's happening.
I think that's a massive point. Like, what are we going to have? Are we going to see CapEx spend increase? Are the hyperscalers going to continue to spend all of this money? But I think at the end of the CapEx expenditure tunnel, there is a little bit of light, considering what we've seen from Amazon yesterday as well, too, is when you're starting to see this return on investment, and that's essentially what you want from all of this money. I think these individuals, I mean, we can say it, nothing will go their way, but it's just too, I don't want to use the term too big to fail, but these larger participants wouldn't be spending this money if they didn't see something on the other end of it.
True, but what also happens when they've committed that much to CapEx spending, and simply by potential rampant inflation to get the same benefit or the same amount of spend, they're going to have to spend significantly more in just real dollars, and that would put more strain on what people on the equation. So again, I don't think I'm not in the we're out of the waters kind of mode, because there's just it's way too early to tell. We haven't even gotten into earnings season yet, but if we're just getting back to, hey, let's look at today, let's look at where things are right now. You do have this bit of a relief sense, and I'll go back to the XLF here. You do have this relief sense that we've broken this downtrend. We're going into the earnings, and so that whether it's short covering or whether it's just relief rally, this looks like we're starting one here. We haven't broken anything out yet, but looks like we're starting one. And just to recap, everybody, you see the headline there, core CPI basically at expectations. So there wasn't too much of a big spike in either direction, and we still have almost nothing happening over in oil. All the volatility that we've had in oil futures, and it's just very slight heading down. Look, the last two sessions, like, you'll be in a gentle uptrend and then slam to the downside. I happen to be in Boyle because I've just been sitting in Boyle short pretty much every single day from the start of the day. So I was just in it when it dropped 3%. And then USO, even when it did this, it had this slight little wedge here that broke that one to the upside and then trended for the rest of the day. I feel like that is the way that I want to approach energy. Let it do whatever it does gently for the open. And then the second it makes a harsh turn, that's it. And play that direction for the next hour or so. So that'll be the plan of action for me. It's already. Oh, go ahead.
I was just reading here, like Andy Jassy, and a little bit of this was brought to us yesterday. So this guy's planning to invest approximately $200 billion. So that answers our CapEx question. So probably come Amazon's earnings report, you're going to see Amazon spending more money up towards to $200 billion. I think Mark Zuckerberg's at like 130 plus or something along those lines.
It makes it safer to think about who's getting the money. Right, if the CapEx spend is going up, okay, that just makes me like Caterpillar and GE Vernova and Lam and ASML as well. There's all kinds of names that you can throw into there because they don't have to worry about whether Amazon's making money and getting returns.
No, because they're just milking the cow. They're just building the data centers anyways. They're putting these major power centers essentially off the grid, and I think that's what's really helped run Caterpillar as of late.
I think so. And JKL, thank you for the super chat here. We appreciate you. The treadmill report. Okay, so you're obviously on the treadmill. Get those miles or kilometers in. We're in Canada, so I'll say kilometers in. Neil, your argument of the overall market this morning, I think the OBG is like a smiley face, is part of my thesis for gold and silver through at least the mid-year. We know you like the silver, JKL. It was a great rally yesterday. I think you still got something going here. What a turner. This was such a great bottoming event right back into the prior highs, and then you get the higher low starting to come in. Hasn't really broken out, but I think you can, we're sort of looking at this. It's like, yeah, you're doing this little right turn. You get the wipeout bottom. You've been making higher lows ever since. I feel like that trend is broken. There hasn't been, what's been lacking is there hasn't been that day that just lets it go absolutely ham. And unfortunately, I think you're going to have to see maybe a sharp move in the US dollar. Maybe some good news with the conflict will change things. But for now, it's just been a more gentle move. We haven't had anything too parabolic yet, but I'm sort of with you. I think for the short-term sentiment, it looks like we're in a bounce. That much is easy to see. It's just been a bounce where it's more of a still buy the dips, play off consolidations than it is take any breakouts. Like, you just haven't been any breakouts yet. That's the explosive part that we want to see. We'll get there. It's a matter of time. Just haven't been able to have it yet. And to Nick's Nation TV, CPI data did come out 30 minutes ago. It was as expected. Of course, we did have increases in core CPI, but they were at the expectations. Both month over month.
CoreWeave coming in off of those highs right now as well too. Yeah. I mean, it's broke down. We had a high of just around 98.50, a little bit more than that maybe, and then now we're trading 94.22, breaking through the support level as the market is just essentially hovering around the volume weighted average price here in the pre-market. RAYA is still holding up around that 98% up to the top side. So a nice breakdown. I was actually thinking about that. Not too long ago before I pulled it up, Neil. I'm like, okay, short. Guys, everybody's asking me for this thing, that's Sean's thing. We do the options thing. But other than that, someone else said, Joe, options right, hell no, it's no way they'd fit. Yeah, exactly, Jesse. You already know. But aside from that, I was thinking about a breakdown here in CoreWeave, Neil. But it seems to be happening in the pre-market. So we'll have to be some patient, wait for some other opportunities. You were talking IBIT this morning as well, too. Maybe we'll keep our eyes on some small caps. Last week we had AIXI in the small caps.
Oh, yeah.
We got Craig this morning. Sharif, I don't know if you were looking at Craig this morning. It might CERG, I believe it is.
Craig?
Yeah. Craig. I have a friend from England. His name is Craig. It's spelled a little bit different.
Craig needs to learn to eat that cereal even if it's only water.
Yeah.
You don't need milk with the cereal, Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Yeah, it's a fear.
Open your mind, Craig. It's Friday.
Craig, yeah.
You ain't got no job.
Yeah.
You ain't got ish to do.
Yeah.
We have plenty to do, which is also get into the watch list, talk about the futures,
It's 9
our
o'clock
free watch
already.
list, which we'll do right about now.
Wow.
All right, guys, let's have a look at the futures. Where did we close out, Brendo? 680 and change. That is a good recovery there. We're continuing that inverse head and shoulders breakout that we spoke about yesterday. So, guys, I just really want to point this out. The low area of the head and shoulders is 630. The breakout area is 660. So, for projecting that out, that is about 50 points. So, we're looking for 430 points. So, we're looking for 690. We're at 680 and change right now. So yeah, we'll see what exactly we get on the day. 682.5, Brendo, that's the overnight high. If we sell off, we're going to look for 678 as support.
Really good chance to get 2 green candles on a weekly chart here back to back, which is always a productive thing. If you haven't done so yet, jump down to the description of this video. Second link down there will get you to the sign up page for the watch list. It's absolutely free. Comes right to your inbox every single day. Again, just need an email for that, and you can just have it. Let's talk about CoreWeave here. We've given it back, but nice pop on this headline this morning. Anthropic going to take up residence, renting some capacity here from CoreWeave.
And that's fantastic because CoreWeave, that's how they make their money, obviously. And we've talked about this. Remember some of their older chips? We were saying really how much life is there left in some of these older chips. And then we look and see what the actual rental usage is. They're charging 125% what they were charging when those chips were new. So strong is the demand. And they're booked 6 months into the future. So it's a good deal for CoreWeave. I get that their business model is super CapEx heavy. They got to keep buying data centers. They got to keep buying, obviously, these servers and everything that comes with them, cooling and networking and everything. But this is a good deal, Brendo. And they raised money yesterday, and they had a deal with Meta. So yet another big name tying the knot with CoreWeave.
Heading in the right direction as well. I wanted to zoom out, way out. Here's a weekly chart of CoreWeave. Dare I say, guys, this is starting to head back in the right direction here from a higher time frame.
And you know what? Now I'm looking at that. I want to look at that same chart too, because that is, I guess it was a weekly. That looks good. You can do it on a monthly too, but my goodness, that looks like a potential. It's not, it wouldn't be there yet, but that is still a trend break. All kinds of support at the 70. The thing about CoreWeave is, look, yesterday, it was a dip and rep. It was a pull, give it all back and pull back into, it wasn't even like first support. It didn't even hold prior close, but when it did give you a bottoming tail candle, you were good to go. And it did an early leg down in the pre-market. So history seems to be repeating itself. I wrote down on the note, it needs to hold the 91.92 for a first reversion. But you know what? If it completely repeats itself like yesterday, then even breaking down, at some point, if there's any bottoming tail on the 15-minute, I want to just shoot for a reversal on CoreWeave. Because it's in an uptrend, but not like this, it's not the smoothest uptrend out there. Like even here, like consolidation day, look at the dip that it's giving you. And then another dip at the open. Like the days where it's flatter down, it's still giving you a great $2, maybe even $3 bounce type play. So let it make the move down in the open. Of course, it's the Fridays, maybe even like the 90 level if it doesn't get all the way to the bottom. But once you put in that bottoming tail candle, it's on the next one that you're looking for the breakout, which requires some patience. Because if you're looking for setups on a 15-minute, you're probably not going to want to overtrade them in the first off the open.
All right, guys. Here is a biotech and life science company to put on your radar, Medicus Pharma, ticker MDCX. Medicus focuses on accelerating the clinical development of novel and potentially disruptive therapeutic assets that serve large target markets. Right now, they have two portfolio companies, SkinJect, which is developing a non-invasive regimen to treat skin cancer, and Antiv, which is developing Tariff to acute urinary retention in cardiovascular high-risk prostate cancer. What's interesting is Medicus looks to advance therapies through phase 2 studies while pursuing licensing of strategic partnerships with larger pharmaceutical companies that can move these therapies through late-stage development and commercialization. It's a collaborative and very capital-efficient development model as clinical studies become more complex. Medicus provides the structure and support needed to help bring these innovative therapies to patients who are waiting. It's definitely a company to watch.
Yes, sir. And, well, we talked a little CoreWeave.
We talked CoreWeave.
But you know what?
Oh,
I cannot take my eyes. Every time, usually when I'm looking over and I'm watching you guys, the camera with like a program monitor, there's a camera right above it. But I'm looking over at Joe's screen because he has that RAYA stock up.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it going to get to $1 before we get to the open? It's the race is on for RAYA. You guys, you mentioned this one when it was 80 cents.
Yeah, I was talking about it at 80 cents here. I think Sharif was talking about it a little bit earlier too, but there's no hold parameters on this thing right now, essentially, right? So 80 cents, I was thinking about getting involved right here, but I'm like, uh-oh, what if we have some issues getting out in the pre-market? But nonetheless, it's still continuing to climb, putting in a new high of the day right now of 112%. All right, so this one's definitely in play here today. And then we also have AIXI back in play, looking like it might want to take another leg higher. Craig was selling off, so maybe you avoid that one. 40 cents, a little bit different, about half the price, but nonetheless here, it's a big time move. And you can see even from the daily, guys, in the span of a couple of days, so this is the day 2 play essentially, 40 cents all the way up to 95. That's a pretty big move so far this morning. Yeah.
For sure. Oh, next on the list, Tesla.
Looking good if you zoom out on Tesla still. I mean, remember, we've had potentially, if today goes well, 2 green weeks in a row for the market itself. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're working on downside still for Tesla. A couple of things to note here as far as news goes for this thing today. Yeah, China sales not good in Q1, 16% decline. This whole smaller SUV thing is still a huge question mark as well. I mean, wasn't the whole idea to, as we were saying earlier, shift production from the car business into the robots and focus on that instead?
Musk said that himself. He called a $25,000 EV pointless, going with the thesis that we're a robotics company, and we saw what he did with the X and the S. He canceled them essentially so that he could shift production for robotics. And not just that, it's not just robotics, it's autonomy as well. So if you're looking at the car business here, they were focusing on the robo-taxi, and that he said that that was going to be the future, where it was automated driving and it's going to be basically kind of a cut and dry interior. So some of the analysts here are saying this could be a painful reality check for the company, because quite frankly, they're not going to make money on this. Their margins have already been deteriorating from 17, high teens, now we're in the low teens. That's number one. Number two, if you want to sell on a global scale, you're going to have to compete with the Chinese. Well, guess what? They got subsidy up the yin-yang, and they have so much more production capacity than Tesla does right now to put out these cheap EVs. Sure, they may be protected in certain markets, so you're not likely to see Chinese EVs in the United States like you are here. Or I was seeing Chinese cars all over the Dominican as well. So they're already in this side of the hemisphere. I don't think this is the right move. I think he's doing this to appease some investors and to say, we're not looking past the car business quite yet. But that's contrary to what he's saying and otherwise.
Is this, though, maybe, and I saw this perspective yesterday, somebody was talking about it late in the day, is this maybe just a here's an alternative to the cybercab. If you can somehow combine those two, if you're rolling out cybercabs and then can also take the core of that and produce something else.
That would make sense.
You know, like,
Well, it's the same frame because the cybercab's not big.
Exactly.
Right?
Something along those lines, that it's not really going to take a lot of extra capacity and cost for that matter. But regardless, still change once again, or a theoretical change here, guys. Yeah, it's. I mean, this is how this thing this trades. I mean, if you go back to April of last year, the bottom over here was the tariff tantrums for Tesla. So, I mean, we're just making another one of those kind of moves.
Yeah, like, man, if it was gonna be traded like a car company, it would have, like, this wouldn't be a 3 with the first digit, it'd be a 1, but it's not, and it never has been. So I don't try to, look, I mean, I try my best not to manifest the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl every year, or the Jays winning the World Series.
That's great.
So why we gotta, okay, I do try to manifest those things.
But the Jays lost 6 straight, though, brother.
All right, I'm trying to, okay, there's no need to rub that one in.
Well, I mean,
that was unnecessarily bold, but
I mean, I'm a Jays
Damn.
fan too, man. 6 straight though, like you can't be doing that. I mean, let's get serious. So they have some injuries and everything. And like, yeah, swat that stuff away. But so, yeah.
Oh, that was cool. You kind of got me there. I probably should. I walked into that analogy, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, we can will this to say I want it to trade based on the fundamentals of a car company. It never has, and I don't see any reason why it ever will. So I'm not going to care too much about that. Clearly, the catalysts that we're looking for are Optimus and Autonomous, and that's, to me, what is going to end up mattering. So I don't think this is that big of a story. The trend down has yet to be broken. Look at the monthly. It hasn't shown signs of deceleration on the monthly either. So I just feel like we're still in this pullback mode. And I don't like Tesla. I just actually put a tweet out. I was like, I don't like Tesla till it breaks something out. And then when it can break something out, today that looks like the 349, call it the 350 area, with room to 54 and then lots of room higher. Until you show me that you can break out a resistance zone. I'm not talking about gap up. Like, if a stock is gapping up and then there's just no buyers, like this last time it tried to break something out, there's a gap up, it tried to break out, nothing, fail. Right? Like, show me that you can break through resistance spots. You get one of those, like what Intel did, and Intel's the first thing that comes to mind, where you actually have a stock that gaps and breaks and pull back and then break and continue. Like, this has no trouble breaking out, right? Like, it's not every single day, but Tesla has yet to show it can do that. And Tesla's the kind of stock, when it's going well, momentum-wise, it is a stock that is continuously showing you breakout trades. So until it shows me the breakout trade, I'm there.
But I mean, like we talk about this, and we know that Elon Musk is obviously going to have a little motivation to get that $1 trillion payout by 2035, whatever it may be. But we have to take into consideration as well too that time's ticking. Like, I mean, it's quite a ways away from now. But until you actually get full production of the cybercab, you get in more jurisdictions, you get in more of these major cities, which he hasn't really done yet. It's been a little bit of a slow rollout, if you ask me. Just becoming unmanned in Austin. He's looking to get in San Francisco as well too, in California. But he's going to need to rapidly expand this and kind of get the ball rolling, because once you fully do have all of this regulatory clarity, then after that point, how many more years is that going to take? And then how many more years are you going to need to gain its popularity, which I think is really important for the stock, essentially. I'm not doubting what he can. I think he can get there. I think the cybercab is going to be the thing I personally want.
It's always about timeline.
Right, it's time. Like, and I mean, you have to take into consideration how long things take, and I don't know. I'm not going to say it's tight because it's still quite a ways away from now, but time moves a lot faster than what you're anticipating.
Oh, the older you get, that is so true as well.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it. We'll throw up oh, it's Daniel again. Oh, no, never mind. It's not Daniel. It's son of Daniel, the cheese tycoon. So say hi to your pops. Yesterday, of course, it's you, Daniel. Yesterday, I decided to get my... okay. I didn't read it first, but hopefully this is clean. Get my freak on for recon into the maritime insurance. Well, okay, that's fine. The head of Lloyd's of London happens to be a guy named Neil Roberts, although he's not as optimistic as you, Neil. He's talking Armageddon. Seriously?
All right.
The head of Lloyd's of London? No, you're making that up. I actually don't know if that's cap. There are a lot. So you know, if you've heard like Jamie, even Jamie Dimon.
What do you say?
In the last year, that dude, you would say, come on, Jamie, just be.
He's always like, yeah, he's always like that.
Pessimistic. Now here's the thing, and I'm not saying this is true of whomever that is at Lloyd's of London, but sometimes you will get these bank execs whose entire job it is to really think as risk managers, and they can be very conservative in terms of their prognostications for the market and for the economy because they see everything as protecting downside. Now, the reason it's easy for me to relate that way is because that's the way that I even approach. Like, I approach trading and investing from a I don't lose kind of mentality. Like, it's just, I don't take the big hits. So I'm always looking for like the traps and that kind of, I feel like Jamie Dimon has that view. And I don't know if this dude from Lloyd's of London feels the same way, but sometimes you will get that from, and if you've known any bankers, I school with a few and high school buddies of ours as well. Like, a lot of them have that same outlook, and sometimes you have to look at what they say through that filter. I'm not saying that's the case here, but sometimes you have to have a little bit of that filter. Here's a topic that is, well, probably, I don't think we talk about it enough, so it's good that we can work it in. Important to talk about energy, even if it's not that important right now or nothing's actually happening in the world of the oil markets. Probably good to discuss it at least a little bit.
Yeah, we are still coming back in a little bit here as far as oil goes. Again, if you missed it this morning, inflation higher, yes, only very, very, very slightly, 0.1%. 3.3 overall was the headline number if you missed it at 8:30. So basically in line with expectation. Market had a move higher initially on the number itself, has come back in. The key, though, is not only XLE, but oil in general causing some of this issue.
Oh, no question about it, yeah. And hopefully we've seen the worst of that. We'll have to wait and see. There's some positive developments, but there's also some concerns. Talked about, of course, President Trump taking to Truth Social yesterday and saying he's very displeased with how, Iran is patrol or allowing ships to go through the Strait. And when you look online, you don't see that much traffic going through. Now, I want to caveat that little thing that the media keeps showing, where all those ships are either not moving through the Strait or waiting outside of it. A lot of the ships that make their way to Asia are something called the dark fleet, okay? They don't use regular transponders, and those ships, a lot of them make their way to China and to Russia, so it's not giving the full picture, full disclosure. Now, aside from that, we had positive developments overnight. Possibly Lebanon war with Israel might be coming to an end. They're going to the United States, hopefully for a ceasefire talk. So hopefully this sticks. We'll see.
Yeah, that will all help, obviously, in a positive manner. The key is going to be headlines, 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 headlines. The past couple of days, anytime anything had come out, we've seen movement not only in oil, but in the overall market, guys. So eyes peeled today.
I were just discussing the fact that it's like, okay, yeah, we see a slight uptick here in CPI, but I think that's also has to correlate with the fact that we're seeing an increase in oil prices. I mean, with the headline sensitivity of oil, then, I mean, essentially, like, things will eventually cool off, but we're not seeing that through the CPI prints. So it'll take some time. I wouldn't be surprised come next report if we see another slight uptick, but after that, I'm not going to use the T word or anything along those lines, but I think it definitely has to fall into that realm just due to the fact that this conflict is going to go on for probably longer than we think it is, but it's not going to go on forever. Eventually, the United States will pull out. The Strait will open, and I think that's going to bring oil prices down.
But until that happens, I feel as if we're going headline to headline, but there's been one, like for me, energy's been the same simple strategy the entire week. And so like the day that it doesn't work, fair enough, but it has so far. And it's twofold. One, we already talked about if we have gentle trend in USO, look for the break. There wasn't one 2 days ago. It was very much more of a wedge. I think that's what's happening now. You get a condensation pattern, and then it just broke out to the upside and then trended after that. And then yesterday was a little bit more distinct, where it was just a gentle uptrend. And then right here, after we left you guys at like 11 o'clock, you had to wait for this. Then we broke all you-know-what to the downside. Even with that gapping higher, note, flush bottom, higher low, and then holding higher again. What for me has been essentially almost a free play has been during that Boyle just trending down. So USO goes up even a little bit and take the, been taking the opportunity to just short the pops in it, and I happened to be sitting in it when it flushed down through 14. You know, it's kind of that's one of those. I shorted the pop in the morning, and then I get up from my desk, I sit back down and with my lunch, and it had just moved in the money 3%. Some of that's going to be blind luck because you happen to be short, but I'm going to go with that theory still. If it pulls back into a prior high and USO's not breaking 130, 131, then I sit in the short. If we get a trend break, I get the same thing, and it's an easy level to get out on as well. It's already made a bottom down at 13.4, which would set up some kind of a target for that trade for me. But patiently waiting for that one trend break on USO or a headline is better than trying to predict where it's going to go. That's been, I think, utterly useless, and it's barely moved the last a couple of opens.
All right, we got monthly numbers here from TSM that came in better than expected. Demand, revenue, whatever, pick one, all skyrocketing still for this company. Chips looking pretty good here on this morning as a group. That's how TSM looks on a higher time frame right now. I mean, we were talking about the market being, within shouting distance of all-time highs. TSM relatively strong versus that so far.
Oh boy, I was going to the next one here. Sorry, I don't have TSM ready. Give me one second.
No worries.
Yeah, so all right, this was a really good report though. If I can just pull this up, here we go. It should be, oh, well, it's a little bit down here right now, so just give me 1 second. I had metals up next. Yeah, so here, Q1 revenue, let's talk about this. $36.5 billion US dollars. That's about 1.13 new Taiwanese dollars. That beats expectations, and it also accounts for a 35% year-over-year increase on the month. Just the month of March alone, just if you look at that month, saw a 45.2% increase versus what they sold in March of 2025. The strength continues to be AI-led, despite the fact that we've seen weakness in the smartphone market. A lot of that is because of the increase, obviously, of RAM prices, but also because Taiwan Semi doesn't want to prioritize a lower margin product like smartphone chips and is instead looking for the higher margin products, which are data center AI chips. Let me give you a little bit of information about those margins. A physical product, the average would be 40 to 50% at the higher range. 64% is their average gross margin. Who do they think they are, NVIDIA? You know what I mean? Like, no, but these are really, really good numbers, and this is a really good company.
Because they can. I'm just reading, if you dig into this CPI note, guys, and just going back to what you're saying on the oil prices and their effect on gasoline prices, I mean, they're talking 67. So the inflationary effect at the gas pump from the price in oil spiking was the highest in this inflation report since 1967. So if you
believe that,
again, if you dig into the CPI report, energy alone, or gas prices specifically alone, the biggest uptick we've seen based on the price of oil moving around since 1967.
I want to ask you a question. What's the highest, like in the last week or so, that you saw at the pump?
190.
What you saw 190.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen 190 before?
I
don't think I have.
I don't know. Like
even in March of or
yeah, like
March
coming out of
22.
COVID. Yeah.
Remember, COVID was super cheap. Remember, gas was.
But coming out of that, when things started to spike,
that's what I was going to say. The beginning of the Ukraine war, right? I remember getting into 170-ish, 180-ish. I don't think I've ever seen $1.
I mean, according to this, you're right. It's not something that we've seen, certainly south of the border, for a long, long, long time. So worth noting, yes, the report as a whole, kind of fine. I mean, yes, we're back above a 3 handle, but energy specific, the key here.
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, I was telling these guys, man. 220 for 93. I know I catch heat around here for using the 93. Brother, let me guess how much I paid for 93 yesterday.
What do you pay?
At Bloor and the Kingsway, the SO station, $2.26, my brother, for 93.
But what was the headline number when you got into the gas station, like on the pylon? What did it say?
Like 187 or something.
Is that the highest you've ever seen? That headline number? I'm not talking about 93.
I've not since COVID times. I've only been putting 93 in the tank, so I never paid.
But when you drive by, Neil, how about you? Is that the largest number you've ever seen on a pylon?
You know what? I honestly don't remember, so I can't say for sure.
But look, I'm certain.
Here's the thing: I barely drive now because I take transit in. during COVID, I was driving in every single day. So it felt like during COVID things were worse, but that might not be true. I'd have to go back and check. And ultimately, doesn't really matter. What matters is we know prices go up and stay up at the pump longer than oil prices do.
Yeah.
Right. So regardless of anything, a USO could be at Brent could stay, we could stay under 100, we go back to 80 or 75. These prices are going to stay higher, and it's going to suck for the consumer for a long time. That's just how it works. So I guess we're supposed to be talking about chips here. Look, TSM, great quarter for TSM. I think it just helps the sentiment trade. There's a lot going well for the sentiment. You've had positive news from whether it's from Intel, we had CoreWeave in the news, and I guess we already talked about that, and now you're going to have TSM. We'll get an ASML next week for more positive sentiment. The name that we'll go back to the well on has just simply been, look, I keep hearing, I've heard the term with Intel of meme stock, which I didn't actually think those two things would ever be said together, but that's what everyone seems to be, it feels like it. There hasn't been a bad long day with the exception of the 6th. So you got to go back to Monday, right? Like it's, bang, bang, bang. Like, okay, fine, sucked. Bang. Like every single day, it's just been rip, rip, rip off of the open. And the days where it's done, and some of those are like dip and rip. Like this is a hefty dip into prior close. I think we're sort of resembling that you get a long trend up day and then you get a dip into prior support. I can see that being the case here. Now I have 61 and 60 because I think it could be a little bit deeper on a Friday, but unless it shows me in the first 15-minute candle that we're looking at a fail break, if it's not a fail break setup, then it's buy the dip, play the trend. And just widen it up a little bit because it was a bit choppy yesterday on that buy the dip. It was kind of hard to get into. Like if you get the VWAP, give it a little bit more room. And then again, even in the afternoon, if you just got out because it broke the volume weighted average price, that ended up not being right again. Just look for the support and get back in whenever it finds that trend. Just be a little bit more active. I think Intel's probably the kind of stock that you can make 10, 12 trades on with that trend line if you have the ability to, and we do.
I mean, TSM has been on an absolute monster run. I mean, the conflict as well, too, just is showing that chip demand is still in full effect here, considering helium apparently is a big factor in the wafer production, fabrication, essentially, of these chips. And there is a little bit of a blockage, but it doesn't seem to be hindering the demand whatsoever. So at the end of the day, TSM continuing to climb, the chip space still with massive amounts of demand. I don't think it's going to cool down, especially if you already if you have this conflict ongoing and the demand is still there and these guys have the ability to produce. I mean, TSM probably going to continue to climb here, especially with NVDA taking up a lot of their space as well.
Clarify real quick. I know we're getting close here on time, but yes, we're talking liters, guys. I see you in the chat. Everybody wondering, what the pricing is. But I just did the math. 190 per liter in Canada converted to the equivalent in the US per gallon is 719 per gallon. So we pay an unbelievable amount of tax here for gas and fuel products. So that's most of it. So yeah, Canada. But yeah, it's crazy expensive right now to drive. Metals. It's true. Metals, we were talking about earlier a little bit here, back to the upside right now, but both silver and gold, pretty volatile once again.
So there's been concerns about a prolonged Middle Eastern conflict leading to some central banks having to sell. We saw Turkey. They offloaded 50 to 60 metric tons, but everybody's saying this is short-term liquidity management, right? Where you got, there's a lot of volatility right now. We got to get our ducks in a row. But that doesn't change a long-term trend. Let's cut the crap, Brendo. The world is de-dollarizing because the U.S. says we're going to go at it alone, and their actions are showing that, whether economically or militarily. Seeing sort of the fragmentation between some of the NATO allies here and President Trump taking shots at them. So what I'm really reading is that this de-dollarization, pro-gold, pro-metals, even though there may be some short-term volatility, this is a longer-term trend.
Rubio was talking about that very thing going forward, on the sanctions side of things, even saying the other day that they're going to get to a point where they can't even use sanctions as a lever because trading is going to be happening in a different currency.
Exactly.
Whether or not we get any kind of follow-through on this remains to be seen, obviously, but worth keeping an eye on both guys, silver and gold today.
For sure. Just very quickly, I'm looking at some imbalances. Palantir sell of 400,000, looking for why some things headed to the downside there. Not too big. Snapchat's in there. Intel made a bit of a move down. The futures, not so much, with only about 2 minutes to go. Silver, I still think silver is on a gentle, gentle is the word I want to use, a gentle uptrend on the daily. So gentle uptrend, has yet to do that sort of parabolic move, but you've got to be careful. Watch out for that USD. If we don't really see some relief there, I don't know if we can punch through and get through the 70 mark. It's 66.5 is the big level that I like, so I don't know if that's going to come into play. I'll be much more looking at IBIT like we have been twice. The 40 level, both days. Yesterday was a short into 40, but anyways, the 40 level looks pretty good here on IBIT, holding above the 71,000 mark. I'm looking more at the 40.5 for a dip and rip here. And if you lose this, got to be willing to play the other direction like we were yesterday into the 40 level. So a bit of a willing to be a reverse play if I have to be over in IBIT, and silver I'll probably take a bit off. We do have a super chat in here before the open because Dark Skin Ken paid $5.39 a gallon, which is nuts, but it only gets worse when you have 37-gallon tank Raptor. Well, yeah.
Someone said, dude,
I don't see much relief in sight either. That's
someone's like, dude, we paid $10 a gallon in Europe.
who, what? Say what in the who now? Well, that's not.
It's not. I mean, it's funny, but it's also not that funny. We can't.
No, that's not fun. No, that's not funny actually.
I mean, with the.
That's crazy. What are these crack prices? Come on now.
That is.
No, before we get to the open, one other name that we should have gotten to, we did talk about, but if you weren't here at the very open, Palantir just made a new fresh low of the day. We're going to ring the bell, brought to you by Origenics for the final time this week. Man, this stock cannot get out of its own way, nor can anything in the software space. So right here.
It's too early for that.
What's for lunch?
We're pressing the buttons.
What's going on here, Joe?
All right, man.
It's 9:30 and 10 seconds, and this man wants to eat. I'm always hungry, but I'm not that hungry, brother.
It's all right, man. We'll wait some things up. I'm just looking at some things here. We got the TQs on the radar, guys. Let's see if we can find a long in the NASDAQ. CoreWeave finding a bounce there. Were you looking at that trend break there? I thought we would get a little bit of a move higher.
I thought we were going to move down more.
And then Bitcoin starting to, it's not really doing anything, I should say. RAYA starting the volatility cooling down right after the open. We'll keep our eyes here on Tesla via TSLL. We'll pull up the TQs to see if we can find a potential trade here. I think the market's going to be in play. And we'll just try to fill some big shoes here and put on some good potential trades, essentially. So we'll be patient, punching through the pre-market high. If we can get closer to view up, then we're going to rock and roll here on this TQQ's trade.
Yeah, the market's looking pretty solid after that CPI print came through, but it is CoreWeave that is to the chagrin. I mean, instantly breakout trade. It didn't quite get, it didn't get into the support level, so I can't be that much of a hater. We're looking at support down around 91.5, 92. So the fact that you're at 95 means let's try to be patient. Usually we'll get a dip somewhere, and once we get that dip, we'll look for a chance to rip. Oh, goodness. Is this the day? Oh, load. There we go. Is this the day that NVIDIA wants to go?
Is it going? Yeah.
Right off the bat, you've got NVIDIA starting to go, okay, what is AMD doing very quickly? AMD even bigger. I knew it. AMD is always going to be bigger. Do not want to fade this early move. Remember, it is Friday. It's a Friday. Sometimes you get into first resistance, and there's a bit of a fade. USO is still not doing anything, so all futures are pretty clean here. IBIT's not really going at all yet. So anytime we're not going up in oil, basically, not near enough the highs. Okay, just drag it up enough, get 1% higher, and I can fade this one and just sit in it all day, and that's going to be Boyle. And someone asked, why trade Boyle? Because no matter what USO has done, this is the simplest answer I can give you. It's been a good short every single day, whether you're just shorting at a resistance level or shorting a pop. Both of them have just worked, and then you just sit in it and then just reload. So I'm going to do that until it stops working, and then the last day, fine. It's been like 6 or 7 days in a row now that it's worked. So one of these days it will not, but I just need to pop a little bit, and then I'll fade.
Palantir here. I mean, we're down another 2%. Yeah, not quite, brother. We're down another 2%. here, 2 1/3 on Palantir. It's a tougher look on this one without any question. I'm thinking maybe on the 5-minute we can find somewhat of a balance, but considering the weakness that we've seen over the past couple of days, it may take some time. And I mean, if we look at this from a bigger picture, this doesn't look too bullish. If you ask me, maybe we get somewhat of a bounce off of these resistance zones here, Neil. But looks like we're heading towards the low of the day. I think this is going to be a big teller. Maybe the tape will turn around. 5-minute time frame, but showing some form of a hammer candle on the 5-minute hammer, but essentially not looking too good right now. It's continuing to move lower, and the overall market is actually ripping. If you look at the TQs and the SPY, it's pretty strong. You're about to break through some of these pre-market highs, and I mean, Palantir is moving to the downside, so it's definitely a tough look in this name. More difficult to find the long. I think it's just go with the flow and see if you can find a short here entry on PLTR. IBIT selling as well too, Neil.
That's what I was just
not following what the overall market's doing.
That's the first thing I look at is as the market gets to the highs, what's behaving counter, because if I'm looking for buy the dip somewhere, this might be it down at 40.60, but before it gets there, you're looking at a fail break at the top, put in a lower high. Whenever that happens, my first thought is always to think of the short side of the trade.
The Nasdaq is ripping.
Oh, USO is actually trying to get to the downside, but my goodness, we got to remember TSM was one of the reasons why the chip names were supposed to be strong today because of their good numbers. It's worth noting it's having some trouble chewing through the top. So if this doesn't break out and TSM retraces, the gap up here is a part of the reason why we're looking strength in some of the chip names. So if you don't see follow through, I'd be at least a little bit concerned with them. Look at Intel in that candle. It didn't get to 60, but it did break down through that 61 and is now trying to put in that hammer reversal. This is not too similar to this move down, but it actually trended down for a while into the open and then shot up and gave you the higher low. So I want to see it put in the good higher low, hold VWAP, just like we saw yesterday. That hasn't happened just yet. But IBIT is definitely looking like a sell.
What do we think is wrong here with Palantir?
I wanted to manifest this into I wanted to manifest this one into a long, but it's not on IBIT.
That's you can try. I mean, you can try, man. That's the whole point of manifestation.
You asking what's wrong with Palantir?
Yeah, like what is
software?
Software.
IGV. Man. It's the biggest name in the IGV, and it's getting trounced. So whether it doesn't matter what you think it belongs in, the IGV is just getting smoked, and that's what we're seeing here with Palantir. Was that Adara? Yes. Let's go to Adara.
Just be aware here, guys. Nothing massive here in terms of relation to the market, but be aware President Trump is active on Truth. He posted this at 9:31 a.m. and the post is incredibly vague. In all caps, world's most powerful reset, 3 exclamation points, President DJT. So this likely referring to Iran. Just be aware if I get any more details, I will keep you posted. I also want to let you guys know we don't have any numbers at 9:45. However, we have a number that can actually be pretty key at 10 a.m. That's the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print. Now, why this print is significant is because it also includes a 1-year and 5-year inflation expectation. Back to you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I mean, I think just the way that the market's currently moving right now, CoreWeave still selling. Bitcoin moving a little bit lower. We have to keep an eye out on what NVDA is up to. Putting in a little bit of a topping signal here, Neil, around that 186 mark. So any form of a pullback, maybe we get some short the TQQs or go with the flow if we get that strong VWAP bounce. That's what I'm looking at right now. So a couple of good opportunities here. Not going to jump into anything too early. I know Katina Man would have been in some positions, so we'll be patient. We'll get a feel for the chair and what we got going on here in the morning show, and then without any form of question, we'll be able to put on a banger here momentarily, Neil.
No, that's what it's all about. And right now, like I'm looking for a reversal play. Like I'm trying to find something that I like as a fade because we have an initial topping tail candle. Bitcoin is already gone. I looked over, and the other thing I had on my iPad, it was going to be Nike.
Amazon's gone as well.
Yeah, Nike's not looking very good. So this one sets up. It's a false break. It's some lower highs as well. It's got room to about 43.75. So maybe like the 80 mark is not a bad spot, speaking out loud, to say it's a bit of kaput. So I'm going to look for a bit of a fade here and see if we get the breakdown trade. Remember, Nike got smoked on their earnings, so that's going to be a part of the story for them. CoreWeave is trying to pull back. Doing its best to pull back in here. It did fail 97. It doesn't really pull back into the 92, 93, but it's putting in the higher lows, which you want to see. So CoreWeave's starting to show that strength. It's starting to come back in there. So if we get Nike, still sitting on the offer. I haven't been swept up there just yet. Keep looking, and I'm actually not getting filled. Hold above VWAP on CoreWeave. We liked it long. I just would have preferred it if it had tested down at that support at 91.5. Oh, was that okay, Iran forced Israel to halt attacks on Beirut by threatening to withdraw from talks with the U.S. Okay, I just feel like there's just so much. If it's my litmus test is going to be if it doesn't cause anything. If we get a big headline or any kind of a headline, just have a look at USO. You can really tell the difference whether it's moving us or not. And so right now you got like a 30-40 cent pullback after a 30-40 cent bounce. Patience, because the biggest, again, almost every single day, the biggest trade for myself has been when USO makes a big move. It made its big move yesterday, pressed on the open, which it's not doing now, and reversed at 11 o'clock. It's not doing anything yet. Yeah. And usually that's given us our best opportunity.
You know what, Neil, I was looking at USO. Like, USO was fun to trade for a little bit. It was kind of like that silver trade, right? Like, you have that month where it's just like, oh, it's all fun and games and all that stuff, and then you get all the choppiness. I don't even know where the bang is or anything along those lines, but a nice little move to the downside. That's why we wait. We're patient on this trade here, essentially. Just a move lower, right? As soon as we failed to make that new high, bang. I don't think Sean's watching or anything along those lines. I don't know where his bang button is. We'll go over to page 1. Oh, there it is.
It's on page.
Yeah, it's on page 1. So there we go. We hit that one there. We'll take a little bit off, Neil. Nothing crazy. We're running into the volume-weighted average price right now, so I think that's a good place to take a little bit of profit right there. So a nice little move to the downside in the TQQs. You were looking for that reversal signal. I'm like, wow, Amazon was moving higher as well, too. And then NVDA was also climbing, but I'm like, this feels a little bit extended, so let's see if we can get a reversal, and sure enough, we were fortunate enough to put on this trade here. We'll take a little bit more off there, brother, as we are now south of the volume-weighted average price, so 49.30. We'll take that one, and we'll also do that because we're sitting in Sean's chair.
That's a little bit. The funny thing is we don't even have the same ones. I just know what's on his page 1. Ours are literally different, which is insane. SNDK's turning around. I finally got that fill into Nike. It looks like CoreWeave does not feel like it wants to be that long. It just lost the volume-weighted average price, so we don't have to be in it. There's no need to fight. If it wants to continue lower, it was the trend break at 10:30 where it was a good long, so you got to be a bit patient with it. Intel, okay, there's something. All right, we got a short. Haven't got the Bitcoin short yet, but Intel is still looking strong. So if it's going to buck the trend, it did this yesterday. Intel was able to show some strength while the market was weak. This is going to close above VWAP. So I guess I'll have to take my shot here on the long side on Intel, not CoreWeave. We got some breaking news with Adara. What do you got?
Keep an eye on AAOI here, guys. This is the 1-minute chart for Applied Optoelectronics. This is a name in that, as you can guess by the name, that optoelectronics space. We have to mention this because Citron Research just announced they are short AAOI, calling it the Anti-Lumentum, or LITE, which is another name in this space. Again here, Citron saying they're short AAOI. This short report sending AAOI to the downside. They're basically saying it's expanded its market cap way too quickly. For context, here's what LITE, another name in the space, is doing. Trying to bounce back a little bit, but both of these relatively weak today. And LITE had a couple positive catalysts going for it. Back to you.
That definitely distracted me. Oh, you should see the bids. Someone seems to like AAOI at the bottom. I'll give them that. Somebody just took a big buy. It could be a short cover. I have no idea. You could only see the buy order back to 129, and it was almost instantly at 130, 131. So that went already a buck back. You can sit there trying to catch the falling knife, but the thing is, when you get the liquidity grab or liquidity evaporates in that range, when it starts to come back, if you're trying to chase the bounce up, it's near impossible. You almost have to take that on the way down. So a bit of a missed opportunity, but you can't get there fast enough at times. And I'm not saying you always go out there and buy some stock that just has a short seller report. It's just that oftentimes if there's a big level, it's not a bad. If it bounces off a big level, like prior day support or like multi-day support or something.
How is Carvana doing?
I haven't looked at.
After that, who was it? Muddy Waters who released that one, or Intergalactica or whatever it is?
Carvana was hated on by so many.
Like after that report dropped, this name dropped 44%.
Didn't it come back?
A little bit now. It's like down 30% from that previous high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, not too bad.
The big squeeze has been in not them. It's been like Avis, like car.
Yeah.
That's where the squeeze has been going on. Oh, not today. It's not. Not today. It's not. Car's giving it up. It sold off a little bit yesterday, but ended up going back to the upside. That's where their actual squeeze is. So still in just Nike. Intel hasn't really done a pullback. That's starting to flow back into the downside. So again, we get a topping tail here in Nike, just not doing it. So I'm looking 43.4, 43.1 after a couple of topping tail candles here in Nike. Bitcoin still, I mean, it's probably just doing what the futures are doing for you, because there hasn't been a pop back into VWAP to get me into the
Have you seen AMD? AMD's going nuts.
Is it?
Shout out to CoreWeave in the chat who pointed that one.
No catalyst, huh?
No.
Oil's creeping higher and the futures are creeping lower. Yeah. I don't want to chase something on a Friday like that. That just seems a little crazy to me. But AMD is flying. I would think almost a reversion would make a little more sense. NVIDIA's a little bit more calm. So it's showing its relative boringness compared to AMD.
Apple was sliding too.
No, well, nothing's that strong when you have the market showing topping tails. You say Apple's sliding. The only thing that's sliding is Palantir.
Yeah.
Palantir is down another 4.5%. This is getting into insane territory for Palantir because it's at that flat bottom at 125 here. We got a super chat from Mopar. NBIS is new all-time highs. That's the kind of market we're in, baby. Like you can have dumpster fires to the left and to the right. Meanwhile, things like SanDisk and NBIS and GE Vernova and Intel. Well, Intel's not an all-time high. It's at local highs. Are breaking out these tops. So you really have to pick and choose. Short the crap, for lack of a better term. I hate to say it, but it's true. And if the trend is your friend. Although I said that was SNDK, I didn't actually look. SNDK, oh, it is. Although it's off of the highs. Oh, goodness, SanDisk. Yeah, that's another reason not to love the longs. The memory chips are going to give it up today, and, oh, no, that's not going to be good for the market at all. Memory chips and software going down at the same time? Yikes. Well, whatever. When I say short the crap, that also applies to Nike. Because Nike, there's some fundamental issues with Nike, too. Like, they basically punked all the stores and said, we don't need you anymore. And that actually hasn't worked out for them.
That has not worked out for them. They building their own brick and mortar, too much cost. Yeah, big time flush, man. And I honestly, I just
swear by Nikes, bro. I
mean, I think it was definitely for the longest period of time, it was the most popular brand out there, right? Like who everybody would like their Nikes. You had Mac Miller, Nikes on my feet, make my cipher complete. Adara.
I miss Mac Miller. Don't get me emotional on this here morning. R.I.P. Mac Miller.
R.I.P.
One of the greats.
Miller. Shout out.
You dropped some bars there?
Yeah, you didn't know that? You didn't know that one? Nikes on my feet, make my cipher complete. But anyway, aside from that, I think, like, honestly, the retail space, brother, it's just a tough space to be in my opinion, right? Like, there's so much competition, and then you have the e-commerce side of things. Like, you have other like sporting appeal brands that don't even have brick and mortar and have the ability to capture share of like the average gym goer and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's tough, and they made some tough business decisions, as you mentioned not too long ago. We can't drop the rhyme out here, man. We took a little bit more off on the TQQs, essentially at 49.
I rip and I rhyme.
Yeah, I know. I heard you're a good freestyler, Neil. MC Joe. Yeah, that's right.
I don't freestyle.
Okay, you don't.
I literally just say raps that I know.
Oh, okay.
I do not freestyle. I'm not fronting on anybody, bro.
Okay, all right. Hey, man, Joy freestyles. Adara.
I want to mention AMD here. We know AMD is moving. It looks like this is kind of a sector-wide move, like kind of in this AI or data center-related space. Here's NBIS. This one's also to the upside. I don't have any news on AMD. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm aware of the move. I've been looking into the move, and I don't have anything for you guys as of yet. That being said, social media attention for AMD is quite extensive. We're getting like multiple tags a minute, like every couple seconds, someone's tagging the stock. This is kind of similar to the type of social media attention things like GME get when they rally. So if I get anything concrete, I'll let you know. As of right now, I don't have anything. Back to you.
And okay, so anyways, I'm not complaining that AMD is up. Congratulations to everybody that didn't sell AMD shares at $250 and then proceeded to not buy any back when it based out at 200. Hi, my name is Neil. That is describing exactly what I did. I bought some SPY. I bought some Apple.
Not bad.
And NVIDIA, because NVIDIA, man. NVIDIA's a better valuation, he says. NVIDIA should go higher, he says. NVIDIA ain't doing squat, he said. No, it is what it is. I also own an Intel share, so I have zero right to complain because I own Intel. So whatever. But
I think
for the moment, AMD is flying like an absolute rocket ship. It's Friday. 250 is obviously a resistance level, but I'll take a lesson from Palantir and Intel the other day. If you are going to look for a reversion on something this ridiculous, it better be, it can't be half, you know what. It better be really, really good.
Brother,
so it's way too parabolic. I did get into IBIT under VWAP, but I'm front end of this. So,
okay.
Like you can see, there was like the initial wick here. I'll show you. Like the initial wick here, I was sort of sitting in there and didn't get filled, but I got front end, which I don't like. So if I'm ever front end, I'm usually in like a half or third. But this looks like it just wants to go.
Yeah.
So it's just a mistake to be in this one front end. I'm basically giving it just above. Not at 41, it's like a round number, but I'm giving it a couple shekels above. You probably guess exactly where the stop is now. A couple of shekels above the volume weighted average price. And I should wait for the other end of the trade here. But AMD, yes, I like mean reversions, but I don't like it enough to stand in front of that moving freight train. 250 is a level, but I don't think you can just sit there and short 249.99.
Yeah.
Some people would. But there you go. So I'll get out of IBIT. That one will be the fail. I feel like the NASDAQ can go up and Nike can still... Yeah. Wait a minute, why didn't I get filled? Gateway am I sitting on? Oh, that's why.
Was it the dark pool wick print there?
No, I was sitting on like a MyAx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like it got to the price.
So would you sit on ARCA after?
Didn't print the bid. Yeah, just on something more common. But I'm gonna go above the bid. This was the target exit on Nike. So just VWAP to here, and then try to short the pop. As long as it does fail break, lower high, and continues the whole lower high trend, fair enough. But I like to sort of take the trade, get out at first support, get out at second support, get out at that bottom. Like that's just the way that I like to structure it. So if we bounce here, I'll be out of that one. Still nothing crazy over in USO, everybody. It's a very slight uptrend. I like the fact that it's giving you a trend. Because when it did this and just trended up, the break of the trend was gonna be good. And then you could get that kind of flush moment and maybe bounce in the futures. But that hasn't happened. Be patient. It's still only 10:50, so plenty of time to work. Cancel that Boyle offer. That's already going down. It doesn't want to give me entry, Boyle. It's AMD, man. It's the AMD show, dude.
Yeah, it is AMD all today. Yeah, I was looking at the SPY, and essentially I'm like, what's going on? The NASDAQ is climbing back towards this previous pivot high, and the SPY is putting in a new low of the day. And then sure enough, as we get out on the break-even trade, a nice little move to the downside, and then sure enough, it comes back and then tanks right back over. So I'm waiting for a little bit of a consolidation so I can re-engage in this trade or the break of a system, but I don't want to sell lower and sell at the lower end of the range, even though the market could sell. But look how weak the SPY is compared to what we're seeing in the TQQs here. So I mean, it was a funny look. 5 minutes ago, it's like bang. Okay, you're just like putting in these lower highs on the 5 minute, heading towards this pre-market high, and the SPY didn't even break the volume weighted average price. So I'm like, what's going on? So eventually it started to play catch up, and sure enough, we're heading lower. And the same thing with IBIT there, Neil. Started to climb, but then had that pretty strong 1 minute candle that says, hey, no, we're headed back to the downside. So let's see if we can find another opportunity to get involved here. The market's definitely been choppy, and I'm going to say that's going to be the TQs more or less over than the SPY, because it has that consecutive 5 minute lower low, a higher low, and sure enough, we got to find something. Like, is NVDA still oh yeah, 187. So good luck. I mean, good luck continuing with the short in the TQQs.
There's no surprise. Well, the only surprise on the visualizer is that Palantir is number one.
Yeah, because
everybody's
not like,
AMD.
What is going on? Now down to 124. Like, this thing has been getting absolutely slapped. Ooh, wow, that's a nice little bottoming signal there, Neil, on the 1 minute. I know you used the 3. Let's see if that's going to line up with the lower time frame. Not quite, but the detail within that one is pretty nice. A nice bounce off of that 123.93. We'll call it 124 flats, and you essentially grab $1 off of that point. So not too bad of a look in Palantir for a potential rebound. You're still way south of VWAP though, so a lot of room to grow within that one. RAYA not doing too much activity after the open, and CoreWeave starting to find a rebound here, Neil, back towards the pre-market highs. So let's see if we can find another opportunity. Some choppy price action in the NASDAQ, but we go a nice little 1-for-1 on this one. Which one should we hit there? Because we get to have all this fun with Sean's Stream Deck. Hey, you know what I find funny is like, hey, you guys are going on like, hey, wow, how come we can't get all these sounds and all this stuff? But you have all of these. You guys have 10 times more animations than what I have.
The complaint is that ours are all old. Like I just showed you, like this is like 4 years old. Or whatever it is. That's like don't look at gift horses. You know how you can tell how old it is?
How old?
Look at my hair, bro.
Yeah, you got pure hair there.
Do you see any gray? There's not even any gray on that graphic, which tells you like this thing.
Neil was 30.
Flush.
You're in your 30s.
Well, we probably shot that the same day because I'm wearing the same shirt. That's not smart. It's a smart thing to do would be to shoot them in different outfits. Look, the market it's bouncing, fair enough. And I even just saw oil futures start to come down, but the target's a target, so we bounced off the lows initially, but I just got out of Nike. It was just the first trade I could find, like that lower high, the topping tail to play in when the market looked a little bit weak, but you're starting to catch a bid here. And as we do, a little bit of a bid, some higher lows starting to come in the SPY. The Q's doing a very similar story, although a little bit stronger. Why? 'Cause AMD, everybody. Look what's happening in oil. Oil first real downtick. So the reaction, for now the reaction is to buy it off of VWAP. But if you start to see this lose VWAP and this breaks this little slight uptrend it has, then I think you can find that market strength. It doesn't look like Intel will be at an appealing price. If we get that trend break, it will have to come back, maybe give us VWAP, then give me the trend break. So looking for the next trade, I don't know, it probably won't be Nike again. CoreWeave's a possibility, Intel for sure if we can get a dip into VWAP. And JKL says don't look now, but Silver and SILJ, the miners as well. Well, SILJ, not the most liquid in the world, so I know we don't look at that too much. But yeah, nice little bounce off VWAP here for Silver, showing some strength. It'd be even better if we could actually see oil futures drop a little bit here. Very inside day so far. Like this is the morning chop zone on the Qs, and it's similar with USO. So you just have to be patient. If you're not like in AMD or something right now. We got Pacific Pac Rick, Canadian super chat. Thank you. Why large percent difference between TSLL and TSLA? Is it? Look, I haven't looked at TSLL to be able to tell you. You have to remember that sometimes ETFs will have like rebalancing and repricings and that stuff. So from the prior close to now can have discrepancies. How it's moving intraday should always track on ratio, but the percent change from the prior close sometimes can be different. That's where it can be tricky. I think it's useful if you have I'll just show you what I have on my quote board. See this? It's like the last price from the open, which tells you how a stock has been doing since the open. AMD should be at the top of the, oh no, it's not. See, I just assumed it would be AMD at the top of this list. No, but ARM and SMCI. What's going on here? Oh, that's cap. Right, remember how I said I was gonna do a mean reversion on AMD? That's not true. I am going to pay for locates on SMCI and look for a trend break there. Oh no, they're free. Okay, let's go to Adara. I should probably try to find out why SMCI is up first, though.
I'll look into that too, Neil. But with regards to USO, I just kind of want to mention, I do have one headline here so far with Iran. Washington Post reported a couple of minutes ago that U.S. negotiators are going to be asking Iran to release detained Americans as part of their negotiations. Furthermore, we actually have some Russia-Ukraine oil talks as well. Ukrainian military reportedly saying that they attacked Russian oil drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea. So looks like there is some oil talk on watch today. We're 4 minutes out from the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment. Unless I find some news on SMCI, I'll see you then. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. So as I said, locates are free on SMCI, which is going absolutely crazy. And I know some people are like, oh, but it's going up. Oh, Derek, do you have something there?
There is something. I mean, it's a vague headline. They released it after the bell yesterday at 4:11 p.m. Supermicro accelerates deployment times with new enterprise server solutions. So it's a press release from Supermicro from yesterday. That is all that I have from them.
I mean, look, it's a good breakout trade. It's just mean reversions are a trade that I like. If it shows a good setup, it's got a topping tail on the 3. If it can kind of confirm the other shoulder here on the 3-minute, put in a lower high, that would make a little bit of sense. Nike's still not really doing anything. Intel hasn't actually pulled back enough at all. And yeah, KD Dumpster. I don't trust SMCI either. I don't think they get for me, they don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Who does at this point?
Well, I understand, like they still have a business and solid revenues, especially relative to the market cap now, the way it's been beaten up. And I'm sure at some point there's a bottom that's going to come in here, but it just seems like scandal after scandal for them.
Were they going through that thing where they were just continuously late on reporting their earnings too?
Oh, they delayed. That was while they're going through accounting scandals.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's like, hey, man,
DOJ
you only have to do this how many times a year? You should be able to get it hopefully on time.
Maybe less now. There is that talk of lowering the frequency of reporting.
We're going semi-annually.
I could go either way on that, to be honest.
How do you're cool with that? I think the quarterly reports are good for the market.
I think from a fundamental standpoint, all right, so it's kind of confirming this topping till the candle's not over yet. There's still like a couple of minutes in this candle, which means I should only be in without adding. All right, so I'll just kind of half in and wait for some confirmation to add. As far as the quarterly reporting thing goes, I think from a long-term perspective, it's good that companies and executives would have more of a long-term approach and not be worried about like the short-term results. I think fundamentally that's good for the economy, that's good for companies in general. But the other side of that coin is when you're trading, you kind of like the fact that we have like this constant updating and more news cycle. It gives us more to work with.
It's good for the average intraday trade, like the retail guy at home. You know what I mean?
I think that can go either way. But yeah, information is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the companies have to spend so much time and energy on it. Let's go to Adair. It's 10 o'clock already. What's happening now?
Look at the reversal cam.
I can tell you what's happening in like 10 seconds, Neil. That's the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment forecast for the preliminary April print, 51.5. Prior print, 53.3. We're also expecting slight upticks in the 1-year and 5-year inflation expectation. We're also going to get factory orders month over month. Okay, so Michigan Consumer Sentiment here coming through. This, again, the preliminary print looks like it's 47.6. So it's going to be below the forecast of 51.5 again. Pretty markedly lower print here for UMich Consumer Sentiment. 1-year inflation expectations, 4.8. So well above the estimate of 4.2%. 5-year inflation expectations in line with what we were looking at here for estimates, 3.4%. So to recap that, 1-year inflation expectations higher than expected. So consumers are expecting more short-term inflation than prior. Also, a little bit less optimistic here going forward because that sentiment print is lower than we were expecting. Factory orders month over month, dead flat, 0%. Let's take a look at the market not reacting too much to this print again, which does suggest that consumers think we're going to get more inflation and they're less enthusiastic about the economy at this point. Let's talk about a couple stories here. CRWV right now pulling back a little bit, but generally still to the upside after Bloomberg reported and then CoreWeave later confirmed that they've struck a pretty big agreement here with Anthropic. They're going to be renting CoreWeave's AI capacity in order to power their Claude large language model. It's worth noting, I've not seen any financial disclosure here in terms of the size of this deal from that perspective, but either way, something to keep an eye on. We also have to talk here about some of these optoelectronics names. AAOI took a pretty sharp dump a little bit after the open, after Citron Research announced they are short AAOI. The stock right now is kind of oscillated a little bit higher and lower. LITE in the optoelectronic space also on watch, getting a massive price target increase, more than doubled by Alethea Capital from $500 all the way up to $1,125. Their CEO also spoke positively in terms of their demand. One last thing here, I'm seeing a lot of strength in these metals names. I know Sharif and Brendan talked about this morning, but MP, USAR, both at near or touching, pulling back from intraday highs. So do make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. We're going to go back to the guys.
Thank you, Dara. These markets are super volatile, everybody, and they're active. And for traders, that's going to mean lots of opportunity. But you know what? If you want to take advantage of that opportunity, you need a couple things. We know what they are. Discipline and access to capital. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your account, you can access firm capital and focus on what really matters, everybody. You're executing strategies and managing your risk. Don't have that fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. It's called limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to get 10% off. Shout out to Trade the Pool. And the pool is getting warm. Here's what other ridiculously old graphic can I hit? See this one?
Yeah, hit the oldest one.
See, look at that.
What is that even about? What is the meaning behind that one?
Doesn't matter, man.
What's the oldest graphic you got on?
I'm sure there was a really good idea behind that at the time. This is one of the oldest ones. This one, I think this one's good. Yeah, this one's, well, depending on.
What's the, you know what the old, that one's still good. Yeah.
That's a good one. Although I have a strong issue with, I'll play it one more time. By the way, SMCI, if it bounces off VWAP, I'm out. You guys know mean reversion trade on a strong stock like this. I'm pulling back into the volume weighted average price as a matter of plan. This can't turn a loser, but the trail is now at the first wick up here, which is underneath break even. But if I hit this again, I want everyone to tell me what exactly is wrong with this. And if you can't figure out, I'm disappointed in all of you.
Oh, yeah, what's going on with that? Yeah, why is it like that? Why'd they do you like that, Neil?
That's all I got to say.
That's crazy.
That's all I got to say. And no, the good was not in that plane. It's just the cash that comes out of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I see what you're getting at there. It's just cash only. So you dropped it off and then picked up the other half of that and then decided to take the plane.
I'm DB Cooper up in this. First of all, I would have jumped out of that and early.
That's
you don't wait till the last second to jump out of a crashing plane.
Have you gone skydiving?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, hell no.
My brother's gone skydiving.
That's
my father-in-law has gone skydiving. I know plenty of people that have gone skydiving. It's just not my cup of tea.
No, it ain't my cup of tea.
I go on a roller coaster all day long.
I even struggle with those a little bit now, Neil. As I got a little bit older, definitely not as fun. All right, $10 super chat here, brother.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Adara. $10. Yesterday, you broke the news of Texas Pacific Land, and I instantly grabbed 50 shares, up $30 per share today. I'll be sending you your own stolen cheese dispenser soon.
Well, thank you very much for the super chat, and congrats on your trade, and shout out to all the spready tickers out there, because TPL is like $400.
Yeah, shout out to all the spready tickers. Shout out to Stolen Cheese Dispenser Incorporated, one of the best out there. The shareholders
minting millions.
Yeah, the shareholders couldn't be more happy, to be honest with you, and offers a 15% dividend as well too, which is absolutely.
You get a dividend?
Yeah, you didn't get the divvy.
I didn't get the divvy.
It pays out, man. It pays out. So shout out
Where's
to
my dividend, bro?
SCDI. Definitely the best name. All right, guys, let's see if we can get a move up here in Tesla. I thought we were going to break out. We continuously run in. There's a seller essentially around this neck of the woods, and now it's looking like it wants to break down. So there it goes. Tesla, we'll have to slap an L on that one. A fail on Tesla, considering if it breaks the low of the day, then we definitely have to get out of this position. That's not going to be crazy. 35 cents. We're at 51. We'll take a 15-cent hit here on TSLL. That's small potatoes, small potatoes. We had the short earlier on the TQQQs. That one worked for us. And there's a good opportunity for us to engage in this as well. Re-engage, that is, as it put in a new lower high. That's what we went off of the first time. So there's no reason for not to take it on the second and the third attempt. This Sean's really good at just playing the ebb and flow of the market. Failed high, boom, take it for a lower leg, come back in, reload, and take it for an additional lower leg. So let's see what the market's got for us here momentarily. Bitcoin's still climbing higher though, Neil.
That's what I'm watching.
Adara. Yeah.
Go to Adara.
We already released the University of Michigan consumer sentiment expectations for you guys, but I think we have to talk about them a bit more because I'm seeing apparently this is a record low for consumer sentiment. at least for this reading. Now, again, this is the preliminary print, but just to recap, 47.6 versus 51.5 expected. So already lower than expected, but apparently also the lowest this reading has ever had. This plus a higher than expected, markedly higher than expected one-year inflation expectation print. Not super enthusiastic here for the market. Just to kind of recap and go over that data. This visual, if you want to take a closer look at it, can be found on X at TTV Research.
Yeah.
Saying like on the 15-minute, that NASDAQ is looking really good for the short. But I was early on IBIT. That would be the one that failed. Nike's still doing whatever the heck it's doing. But IBIT was the mistake. SMCI is still trying to hold VWAP. It's doing a decent job of it. But if we're going to continue down, I don't see IBIT holding up or Bitcoin holding up. Like, you're pulling into the prior day high. So I'll look for the trend break there. Something similar to the setup here on SMCI. I don't know if it'll do the... I mean, sometimes you don't get that clean of a topping tail. That was very clean, like, because the second candle, the confirmation under 25 even, everything about it worked. At this point, it'll be, does it hold VWAP? If it doesn't, trail out. If it does, I think the last ditch, try to wait for it to press into 24 to 24.10. Like, allow it to try to make that move in there.
Do you think?
Otherwise, hold that VWAP. But IBIT to me is the next trade. If the market's going down, I cannot see this continuing this uptrend.
Do you think that that Iran wants to be paid in Bitcoin is what's maybe helping rally Bitcoin move the name a little bit here? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But I don't think that's big enough. Like, it's still a risk asset. If we go risk off, I don't see it being able. That's not strong enough for it to buck the trend of the market for the day. No, I don't.
For the whole day, you don't think? I mean, it's bucking right now.
Not for the whole day. I don't think you could sustain all day long without a good pullback. The market just continues. By the way, we have USO also going higher, so more pressure on the market because USO just broke 126. Adara?
I want to give you guys this headline in this update. I want to, provide a huge caveat here, though. So I saw this headline, just came through about a minute ago. Tesla China denies developing a cheaper EV. So I looked into this. Looks like this was reported again with the last 10 or 15 minutes by Electrek, so well-known EV publication, and they cited a well-known Chinese news source, which basically said Tesla China told them they are not developing a cheaper EV. So a couple caveats here, as I mentioned. One, this is just Tesla China, not Tesla as an overall company. So just because the Chinese branch is not developing a cheaper EV doesn't mean other parts of the company aren't. And the other thing I want to mention here is that this Electrek report in and of itself basically said we can't take it too seriously that Tesla's denying their report, because as we know, Tesla does have a bit of a history of denying reports that end up actually being true. So they'll say, oh, we're not doing X, Y, Z with the company, and they end up doing it. So big caveat, but in case you guys are seeing this headline floating around wondering what it's about, it does appear that Tesla China denied that the company will be developing a cheaper EV, but also that could mean very little in the grand scheme of things. Back to you.
Thank you very much,
we got going
Adara.
on a 5-minute too there, Neil.
Aqua just said, how about Palantir? All right, we're going to grit our teeth. We're going to look. I mean, I just ate my breakfast, so that's why I didn't want to look at the stock.
Ooh.
Breakfast was pretty good.
That's right. What do we have? Some kind of spinach in there?
I don't even know what. Here we go. There.
Okay.
That's an old graphic for Palantir. It's not like they're alone. Throw up the IGV if you want to throw up as well, a little bit more. And if you just had breakfast, don't look at this chart. Or if maybe this is your thing. Kyle Burdett would be loving these. Where's Big Spile when this is happening? These things. Big Spile's like the one who's always short because that's how he likes to roll. No, but look at this. It's absolute abject disaster across the board. They're not alone. You've got Softy, and Softy had been better, much better, but it's still trending down. I just feel like the pressure on this market is legit. Okay, IBIT, looks like we are going to get this. I'll redraw the trend line so you guys.
What do you got there? Oh, I thought you were in IBIT. I got 08 on that fill there, Neil, on IBIT.
So I have this thing about letting it confirm under the trend line.
Okay.
So I'm not in it. Yeah, I mean, you could be in it and just giving it to the high because that's yesterday's high. But
I'm giving it
41.20s. I like the confirmation.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in the same thing there. Let's see if it breaks the high of the day, then we get out of it. If there's any form of indecision prints on the way lower, right? Like, so we have the inverted hammer right here on the 5-minute time frame. That could be a good green light. But then if this 1 minute starts to print them as well, that could just tell you that there's a strong underlying. So you can see on this pullback, you have that exact same print essentially. And that's what I'm going to be keeping my eye out on for. So print, pullback, off to the races it goes. We break that trend a little bit, and then now let's see if it can be held up, and maybe we can head back in towards the volume-weighted average price, or it's just going to be flat out strong here today, Adara.
Oil headline to be aware of here, guys. Seeing reports that the U.S. is likely to approve an extension of a waiver which would allow sales of certain Russian crude oil. This approval of this extension of the waiver could happen as early as Friday. So again, U.S. potentially approving an extension of this waiver, which would allow for the sales of certain Russian crude oil to be extended. Back to you.
So it did print that. So I think we're going to continue to climb higher. It's going to break the high of the day here momentarily, and then we're going to get out of this trade as soon as it does. I think we're on that path, especially if the Nasdaq finds somewhat of a rebound. Then we'll just get out of it. So yeah, we had that nice little short here on the TQQs. The Tesla long didn't work for us, and then there goes Bitcoin breaking through that high. So a good long signal right there, and the volume stepping in. So not a good reversion play. Bitcoin on the run here, Neil.
Well, I think a lot of things just bounced. So I had an accidental reverse instead of just get out. So the bottoming tail in SMCI, the retake of the volume-weighted average price. I always say the rule, if you don't mean to get into a trade, just get out of it. Obviously, I just hit offer enter when I was accidentally long and made the spread. So I just probably made like 1 or 2 cents on it. But I didn't want to be into the long. It was a reversion. It ends up holding VWAP. It's just a get out, assess, wait for the next. I guess it's not going to be IBIT. This is not like some kind of crazy USO-related move because that's barely doing anything. It would make some sense as I'm hunting for the next trade here. Right, Palantir, PLTR. Sheesh. Palantir trying to make a bid, so you can't really say it's software coming back up and causing that jump. Not even sure why you got that big of a spike. It's not going to be oil-related here. Maybe Palantir's not the right one. Let's go back and look at AMD. I don't want to rush into anything. AMD's holding VWAP. That's fine. Intel was more my plan. Is that still holding? Not even close to the volume-weighted average price on the pullback here for Intel. Respecting the pre-market high, it looks like. But a lot of bottoming tail candles. I haven't had this up the whole time. All that's telling you is supports here at 62.75, but you got bottoming tail wicks, a close under the 75, and this feels like it would still be heading lower. So patience with Intel, just looking for the next thing to try to snipe in here. It won't be a continuation short on SMCI at this rate. It doesn't look like it's going to be shorting IBIT because that's going to obviously have continued to go on higher. Yeah, I could just be waiting for a USO opportunity. That's coming back into a downtrend. You know what that means for me, short boil.
Short boil. All right, yeah. I mean, the market is starting to find somewhat of a rebound here, guys. We'll keep an eye on USO. If that's starting to come back in, yeah, it's selling aggressively right now. So we'll wait for a good opportunity. I mean, the Nasdaq finding a bottom. You have some of the larger names as well that we often talk about, looking like they're putting in somewhat of a bottom here. The TQ's back. Engulfing a lot. You have the SPY right back towards the pre-market high. Let's keep an eye on a couple of things. RAYA not doing too much. This is a small cap name, but maybe Bitcoin's going to continue and be the trade of the day as it's up almost 1% here in the session. We break down. We try that 41.10 short, then it just goes off to the races and rips. Glad that we got out of that one. And here goes Tesla back to our prior entry price. So let's see if this name's going to continue to go. 1 minute time frame, bottoming signal confirmation. And I think that we might break through these pre-market highs. So I think we can give Tesla one more attempt to the long side. The short definitely being the better one on the day, but nothing wrong with taking a little trade here on TSLL as you punch through VWAP, and you're in the middle of this congestion zone, really. So if it decides to buck the trend and head towards the pre-market high, where we're going to be positioned relatively well here on TSLL, we'll go same size and look for a, so what do I have to have my stop at 35s? So approximately 15 cents. We do want to look for that move into 80, 1080, that is on TSLL. Yeah.
All right, well, the answer, I think going back to the well when a trade that you liked before sets up again is something a trader has to be able to do.
Absolutely.
Because you have to have that short memory like a closer in baseball. Like, it doesn't matter. You go in the next day, it's a safe situation. Mariano's got to go shut it down.
It's like a goalie. You get scored on, and you just have to
move right back.
Yeah,
I got a poll we're going to put up here. A guy from work, which is somebody in the chat, not somebody here. Have you done a poll in the last week if this is the bottom for the market? Is this the bottom for the markets? If you're not in the chat, then I'm going to give you some time as I'm typing this to get into the chat by hitting the subscribe button. And then all you have to do is, if you think this is the bottom for the markets and we're headed back to all-time highs, 1 for yes, 2 for no. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's no inside, no opinion nonsense. We'll start the voting on that. Throw the votes in there if you think we have made the bottom for the markets. Now these tend to go 50-50, a lot of indecision lately. It was slightly to the yes side, like 55%. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not terrible. But let's see what the viewers think. Still 50-50. I find, this is the thing.
What did
Every
you
time
vote?
we do something, I typed a 1.
Okay.
I think, if you define what I think what people mean, it's like a temporary bottom, I think would be probably the way I should have worded it. Do I think we've made a temporary bottom? At least up until earnings season. Because it just means to me, like, have we made a temp bottom and you get back to the highs, like you make a new high before you make a new low. That's what a temporary bottom means to me. As long as you make a new high before you make a new low, then yeah, I think the bottom temporarily is in. We're one headline away from that not being true. Let's be real about all of that. So just to quickly show you the reason for the new trade, there's USO, gentle trend break. It's not extreme like it was yesterday. So I'd call that like maybe like a B. Like that's like an A trend break. That's like a B. But expressing it the way we had before, which is I should have been, the fail was not sitting in this, in the pre-market. I think if something has just been a short till it's not, then if the best price you get is like, look at that reversion, but that's at 842. Sometimes you just have to be willing to be in it. And then I'd have this like 2% better than shorting it off of VWAP and trying to get the low of the day. All right, so the market's trying to make its way back in, but it's very much, Joe, an inside day still.
Absolutely. I mean, we're long here, some Tesla. We'll see if we're going to get a little bit of a pullback here on Bitcoin as it went up to 41.28. I mean, it's been climbing higher all day. So, I mean, you can take a couple attempts at it, and then you got to throw that trade essentially out the window and look for another opportunity. This one's a really tight stop to see if we're going to get that move back towards the volume-weighted average price here in IBIT. If it cracks 33s, then we're just out of dodge. So it's literally 7 cents. It's worth it. You get a move back towards VWAP, which is around $41. Makes the risk to reward totally worth the trade here. So let's be patient, see if we can find a high quality opportunity. Tesla hovering around VWAP. I'm thinking that we can get a rebound. Ideally, this would have been the prime time entry, right? So I'm like, okay, we buy VWAP. That's not too bad, but you want to get as low to lower end of the trend. So you had that move, and then if you get in at 38s, you get the move that you're essentially looking for, just like that. So Tesla, a quarter, and someone was saying, hey, there's like an arbitrage play essentially going on in Tesla. I don't think that's necessarily the case right now. I mean, Neil was talking about the rebalancing, and you also just have to take into consideration the fact that it's always going to be down or up double from a percentage metric, that is, than what Tesla's going to be. We're going to opt to Adara with small cap recap.
Quite a few small cap runners to talk about today, starting with Fuse Machines, FUSE. So we had this company on watch. I think this was yesterday. They had their CEO, Samir Maski, highlighting their agentic AI opportunities. So AI headline for FUSE. Again, this looks like a bit of a delayed play. They've got a $30 million market cap, float of about 18, nearly 19 million shares. USAR, slightly larger market cap on this one, about nearly $4 billion. But I wanted to mention it because a lot of these names in the metal space, including MP Materials or MP, are running, and USAR actually does have a catalyst. Yesterday, they announced their investment in Crestor, or they're having an investment here with Crestor, also announcing a strategic partnership in France, and announced they're considering building a magnet plant in France as well. Short float on this, 12.2%. Last but not least, CREG, no news on Smart Power Corp. This is a penny stock right now. High of day was just at that $1 level. You've got a $19 million market cap and a 22 million share float. Back to you.
That chart, I didn't get the best look at it, but that looks like a perfect $1 fail, like absolutely perfect. It's CREG, not CRG. Smart Power. Yeah, that's as textbook as it gets. That's because that'd be better than SMCI in my opinion, because it goes right to $1. And granted, you don't necessarily have it flash until it's at 90, but you're getting 89 cents to 93, and VWAP's at 72. That's a 25% move risk to reward. This is the thing about, I've been telling Obi this too, like there's being able to transpose like trading setups and trading patterns to other styles. Like that can be absolutely gold because it's still a mean reversion trade. You got the halt price up here. It's also rejecting that. And I know some people are probably long this. I'm not trying to be too negative Nancy about that, but it's a good setup. Man, this market is absolutely, it's just dull right now. But I look over at IBIT and it's like, we're barely moving there, but IBIT is just continuing to go ham.
Yeah, it's
upside.
Brother, it's bucking. Like I'm telling you, this Iran news is really good for it. I mean, it's continuing to climb. You try a couple attempts on that, and it doesn't go. It's just like, okay, AC Slater to that. Like if it's not going to work out, then you don't want to go against a strong asset. I mean, the pullback is attractive, but at some point, I think with this specific trade, is like Neil, we got to look to go with the flow essentially. With Bitcoin, it's breaking out, and we were talking a little options activity on it this morning. And I mean, I've liked the bull put more at that $38 mark expiring than I did like the bear call aspect of things. So, I mean, that's a big time move in Bitcoin, and it hasn't even really got going yet. This thing can really start to squeeze. You have those big liquidation events that tend to happen. So we'll be patient and see what we got. But it's definitely a strong trend day here in Bitcoin, and not necessarily for Tesla as it's continuing to move a little bit lower. Something's going off in my ear.
You want a coffee?
No, I'm good. I would take a water though, please and thank you. If,
just asking.
Yeah, if we can get a water, if that's available. I know you guys only do cups of Joe around this neck of the woods, but
Randy's not in today, but
Randy's not in. I was gonna go and get it.
I realized I haven't had another coffee.
I was gonna say I was gonna go get some water. Do you want me to go grab it? I only offer like straight black though.
Pretty sure Rob's going. I only get black coffee.
That's all you drink?
I ain't putting nothing in.
Yeah, my guy.
Occasionally I'll put some maple syrup. If I want to sweeten my coffee, I'll put maple syrup and that's it. Like a true
maple
Canadian there. Because I married into maple syrup dynasty. It's not really.
Oh yeah?
No, they do. My in-laws do make their own maple syrup, but it's not any kind of a dynasty.
It's a dynasty. So you're a maple syrup tycoon like Danny Boy, the cheese tycoon?
No, it's not tycoon. But we do get enough for the year.
Oh.
But you got to put in that work.
So
it does involve going up and
selling a little bit of it on the side,
no, we don't get
what? You can tell me, man.
No, we don't get enough to sell. They don't make enough to sell either.
Oh,
and it's not easy. Like it's hard. It's hard work, bro. It's hard work. And maple syrup is fantastic. It's like a superfood. Just ask Joe Rogan. Even he's up on that too.
Remember that big maple syrup heist back in the day?
Yeah, that was kind of joke.
That was crazy.
Sweetener is if it has value, someone's gonna steal it or find a way to steal it. All right, now the market's picking up some serious steam. Serious steam.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like Bitcoin is now leading the way. So the way I see it, I'm just sort of observing for myself here because like that has gone absolutely ham, Bitcoin. The way I see it, like you have a slight move up in the market that's getting dragged now by Bitcoin to the upside. So I don't think you're turning anywhere until one of two things happen. Bitcoin turns, USO turns. And just to answer, because I keep getting the same question over and over again. It's like, why do you like to short and boil? The best way to explain it is to just look at these two charts. See how all over the place USO is? And then look at the chart. Whoops. What is that, and why did it even show up in my drop-down when I typed in boil? No idea what that is. Anyways, now I have to wait for this to get out of the way and go to my 15-minute chart for boil, so now I'm just killing time while this decides it's going to possibly crash on me. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we have to wait. There we go. See boil? Ever since this day, trend down, reversion down, trend down, trend down, short into resistance. Had to short it at the absolute top. Probably the worst day here was into the same resistance, 16. Gapped down, resistance to support, trend down, trend down. What would you do? I'm a pattern person. Like, low-hanging fruit is, if short works on stock every day, find way to short stock.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn I don't care what it is. It's just like, does it work? Is it working? Do that. So and that's with USO doing whatever the heck it wants. So if nat gas, I think falling nat gas is going to be trend down, then basically I can take when energy finds a top, short boil. That's literally worked like 6 of the last 6 days. So again, it's the only reason. There's nothing scientific about it. But for me, the next opportunity is a lot of patience to try to look for the
Tough.
curl
You can't get
on
the
IBIT.
only H2O or only black coffee service around here.
Uh-oh. Maybe didn't see the message.
It's all right. It's all good, man.
It's all good.
It's all right. I'll get up and go. I got to go to the washroom anyway. So
I was late with the message.
It's all right, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Rob's nice like that. Rob,
Yeah,
Randy,
no, I know Rob would never do
boys.
that on purpose. No, brother, don't worry. It's okay.
Like, trust me, we can go up and get our own
I
stuff.
don't have any change on me.
He doesn't mind, man. Wait.
Tip, man. You guys don't
Tipping,
tip.
don't tipping Rob. Rob's good peoples. No, we have a
Yeah,
fantastic
he's a
team
good
around
guy.
here. Rob, Randy. You see Mark working around. And of course, in the back, we got Fabian. I don't see Ramin in, but we got Andre on the ones and
Ramin,
twos,
yeah,
making us
Ramin.
look and sound good.
There goes
For
Raya.
sure. Look, it's not everything that looks super strong. Double top here in NVIDIA. Palantir is off of the lows, so it's at least trying to go. What do you think? What do we think happens if the market, the NASDAQ,
Thank you
fails
very
the
much,
high?
Rob. Thank you.
Palantir could be a short into that volume-weighted average price. So that's worth having a look at. Like, did it really bottom out here on Palantir? 122s we just got down to. 122. Is SMCI? No. Yeah, okay. Well, SMCI, that was right in terms of where it would bounce. But the notion that the market goes up, that this would give you a double top to fade, ended up being wrong. So it doesn't look like there's a re-entry in SMCI yet. And then Nike was the other one that I had short. And all right, Nike could be something at VWAP. Hopped out of Nike to hop into SMCI. Go from one to the other. I like to bounce around. That's how I roll. But if this gets back to VWAP, that could be the next trade. I'm looking for, if we fail the top, where can we short the pop? SMCI doesn't really look like it's setting up, but Nike for a return into VWAP makes a little bit of sense. So this could be the next trade for me if IBIT's not going to break the trend, which it could be right now. I don't know if you're watching that, Joe.
All right, good stuff. All right, so yeah, I'm just looking at some things here, reading a couple messages, emails. Aside from that, guys, Tesla. I mean, it's not doing too much here, right? It's not breaking down. It's not climbing higher as the market is heading towards the highs. So it's like, okay, we're kind of stuck in this limbo essentially here. What direction? This stock has been absolutely destroyed in the past couple of days. Are you going to find a bounce? But as Neil was going on about talking about not too long ago, it's just the fact is like, okay, if the short is continuously working, why not just go with it? And I think that's been the narrative here with TSLA. Maybe we can get a little bit of a breakdown. And I mean, we're long on this name. If it cracks this 1035 mark, then we have to get out of it. I don't think we're going to head towards this previous low, but it's channel straight to the downside. So, I mean, definitely a tougher look for the longs, especially when you look at the other chip names and the other Mag 7. It's like these guys are starting to run. Like, NVIDIA has been absolutely phenomenal today, heading back towards the high of the day. We can run through our chip names in the Mag 7, Apple at the high of the day, Google at the lows but starting to find somewhat of a bounce, Microsoft not too good here, Amazon probably performing relatively well, and then we have Tesla not doing so well, and then same thing with Meta, even though Meta's at the high of the day as well too, so,
Get it, Meta.
I mean, yeah, Meta's definitely been on a move. Adara. Oh, Super Chat.
Super Chat.
I thought you said Adara there.
Darth Liquider. Love it. I should have a Darth Vader one. I should really have a Darth Vader button. As silver approaches 70, SLV approaches 70, we should say, what would y'all be looking for to indicate that it's broken trend, a full day above 70? So what constitutes a trend break on a daily chart? Great question. Something we've talked about this, I think, before. So personally, I think it's broken the trend. It just hasn't continued. There's no continuation yet. So there's your downtrend. It's broken the trend. That to me is confirmed. Not confirmed there. One pullback, hold. It's confirmed the trend break. It just you get one further confirmation with the 70. So to me, breaking and closing above, or opening above 70, I guess, next week because today's Friday. So opening above 70 next week, that's already confirmation because you've made this nice move here. Does that automatically mean that it's going to the 50 period and then to 80? No, but I would say it's already broken the trend. And you get the confirmation of that trend break with a hold over the 70 level. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it answers your question there, but I absolutely love it. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Adair. Can you just email that to me? I just realized. I have like 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't have the lunch thing, which we'll get to in a quick little second.
Yeah, I mean, Adair was the one.
That
How do you even get? Did you hear the burger situation?
What's the burger situation?
So what we got to do is, I was talking to Raquel, is just essentially email her the list of the names in the day. We obviously need to give her a little bit of time so that she can implement it. So everyone who wants a burger here in the studio, all we got to do is email her the list of individuals who will be wanting it and the specific date.
And then the caterer is going to give us burgers?
Yeah, and then and then she even asked me, "Do you want fries with that?" I said, "Raquel, don't tempt me with a good."
Okay, okay. So first off, I'm not to throw cold water on that.
Yeah.
You don't want fries from the caterer. Preparing fries in a tray and then transporting them with the condensation that you get soggy fries. There's no way to make it work effectively unless you make them on site. Straight up, they're never any good. So I would go for the burger can travel, but the fries ain't gonna travel, dude. And I'm not in the catering business. They've just done it before, and they're always not good.
Yeah, you can get the veggie, but Assassino, she was talking about you. She's like, hey, but not all of you guys will want burgers. And I'm like, I know my boy Assassino, who, by the way, typically gets salmon, and I'm kind of jealous about that. And I'm like, hey, he would want something along the lines of maybe a veggie burger or something. So yeah, I didn't forget about you, brother.
Palantir just went little parabolic here, everybody. We're looking for the news with Palantir on volume through VWAP. That is one heck of a reversal candle there. Is it just Palantir? It's probably, I mean, obviously the IGV is going to have moved a little bit. No, this is Palantir specific. The IGV is barely even moving here. This seems to be, I've not heard anything. I have not seen a news story. Adair is going to be all over it. For sure, I guarantee you should be all over it. But Palantir, looking like it. Adair, what do you have?
I have a post from Trump on Truth Social. So here's the reason Palantir's up. President Trump just posted on Truth Social, Palantir Technologies, with the ticker PLTR, has proven to have great war-fighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies, through exclamation point. So President Trump not only pumping Palantir, but he specifically called out the stock ticker in this post. I have not seen him do this before. For the record, he's called out a lot of public companies. Never have I ever seen him call out the stock. This is unprecedented, quite frankly. Back to you.
TR, baby. Wait for the pullback, and then you just want to get involved in that here. Yeah, I mean, hey. That's wild, man. Is that even legal?
I don't know.
Can he do that?
Yeah.
For what it's worth, they were already talking during Nick's last congressional hearing, because I love congressional hearings. They were already saying that Trump should have been investigated for today is a great day to buy, and then pumping the market after that. So that's already been now that this has happened with the ticker, you have to wonder if there's going to be.
It's not illegal unless you're buying it in advance.
But the point I'm trying to make is there has been already speculation that some of this stuff could. I guess he's got Congress probably on his head after this, would be my guess.
Remember what happened with Elon and when he was pumping Dogecoin and everything?
I'm not sure. Look, I'm not trying to defend. I'm just simply saying if it goes with anything.
I don't know if there's anything else
with anything in the industry. If you don't trade on it, then it's not anything, right? Like, it all comes down to whether you actually take action. Otherwise, you're just or you're saying it and someone else is getting the benefit that you've tipped off like that. If that's not happening, then it's happening. Is this chasing the first candle doesn't make sense? Look, obviously, the first candle after the news, because it's actually pulling back in. It went right to prior day low. So technically, it filled the entirety of the gap and is starting to pull back. So that's a good place for it to have turned. Obviously, VWAP is going to make some sense here, but this is the candle that I don't think I would want to chase. It doesn't seem to be dragging anything.
No, but there it goes, Neil.
My goodness. God. That's crazy. And it's just a one-liner here. I'd love for there to be a little bit more there.
That's all you need sometimes, just a quick one-liner. He said now is a good time to buy, is all he said last time, and the stock market absolutely rallies. We got a little bit here on Palantir, nothing substantial. It did pop all the way up into 128.30s. If it comes back, if it breaks that 127 mark, then we'll just get out of the trade. But I think this can go, considering the stock has been getting absolutely destroyed as of late, and there is some strength with on the tape. It's mixed right now, but the ask continuously gets lift, and that's kind of what I want to see in Palantir. We did get that pullback. It's not breaking down. As long as we continue to hold up, maybe Palantir could continue to climb a little bit higher. We need Tesla to start going, which it is breaking through that previous high. So TSLL working out for us right now as well, too, Neil.
So if you watch it like in the Palantir tape, right now it's between 127.60 and 127.80. That 20-cent range. Every time it gets swiped up, someone is coming in and selling, and you can see the chunks. Let's see if it happens again here. You can sort of see the chunks come in there and sell it, and now they're doing it again, but at a little bit of a lower price. So it's having trouble getting through
dropping
80s.
a bit.
Once you have 80s, when it gets up there, you don't see those sellers come in. I think that'll be a good spot to look for the bid. Thank you for the super chat. Baron is making cash on those Trump posts. Well, look, man, I know we're just joking around and messing around, but as I said, if there's proof of that happening, I'm sure there'll be people would investigate. For now, it's price action that matters. So that same battle's happening here. Hasn't really lost the prior bar. As long as it does not do that, this is still a reasonable potential dip, but I want to see it do the hold. There's a seller at 127.80. They haven't been able to bust through that. I think if they get through there, there's a chance to maybe just go long on the other side of it, but that just hasn't. They just did it again. They just went right back up to 127.80, and the same seller just came back in. On the other side of this, by the way, there's a topping tail candle on the futures, and Bitcoin's close to breaking trend. So I'm kind of looking at two things at once. Bitcoin is testing the trend line down while Palantir continues to go ham here. Now the buyers just came. What, huh? What? Andre?
Screen, my boy. Screen?
Oh. Okay.
What happened?
I just missed the punch. That's... Is insider trading illegal anymore? Yeah, yes it is. So type 1 if you think insider trading is illegal, it's still illegal. 2, no. 3, only. I missed what 3 was. Only for the orange man.
All right, Neil, there it is, brother. We take a little bit. So whoever that seller was got lifted a little bit there, Neil. We'll take some more off on Palantir. I know this is Sean's name as well. I had to go with the long, especially off of that news. Didn't break down off of that 127.50 mark and then now continuing to climb. I don't have much left, man. Like 10% left of this position. It wasn't too big anyways. Just due to the volatility spike, you had to really size down on that trade just in case. But there it goes. Palantir. To the top side, not too bad of a look.
That's not what I wanted to do.
Dollar,
Whoa,
hold on.
No, it's...
I'm not hitting it.
That's the button.
Can I hit it or no?
That's not the one I was going to hit.
Which one were you looking for?
The one underneath it. I hit it just now.
Where's
the
my...
Bitcoin one.
The Bitcoin one? But we're trading Palantir.
We don't have a Palantir key.
No, I'm looking for... where's the Dollar Club at, my brother? You have that one?
I don't have that. That's on Sean's.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
It probably just looks like a dollar bill or something.
Yeah, we're looking for it. It's not going too good. Oh, who hit it? Hit it again there for me. Yeah, bang. What happened to the song? What happened to the volume? I don't hear anything.
Here comes a dip.
Yeah, it's coming back aggressively.
Right,
now.
let's see if the buy zone turns into if that sell zone turns into a buy zone at 127.8.
I missed the 129 mark looking for the Dollar Club sign, and then it comes back against us $1. So that didn't work out too good. But other than that, it was really still it's a profit. There you go. It's a profitable trade. We'll keep our eyes here on Tesla. Keeps getting knocked down at that 1055 mark. Tesla may not be the one to get going here today, considering 347.99. Let's see what we have at that 350 mark on the options chain to see if we have somewhat of a supply zone on Tesla, because it just keeps getting rejected and it doesn't look like it wants to cooperate.
Now the seller's back at 80 again.
Yeah, he's back. Like I sold as soon as I seen him step right back in. I'm like, all right, let's get out of that one. You're in it though.
No, but I just jumped out because that idiot was right there again.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't say that. I have no idea if there is a seller down there, but.
What do we have on?
Oh, by the way, while that was going on,
350.
oil finally broke out. That's actually going higher. This could come into the, I'm not leaving Palantir because Palantir is where the story is, but this could come into the actual high. So we broke out through the volume weighted average price, and we could come back into the actual top from earlier. So that's worth watching if it comes back in. It only got down to about 13.5 from 13.6, but I think it just psyched me out of Palantir. So whoever it was, there was just order flow down at the 127.8 level, and there was a seller on that second candle. They came right back in when it bounced the last time. I was looking to see if there was a buyer in front, but there was no buyer out in front of that 127.75 zone. But if it can hold, I won't switch the executions weren't there, because then I could try to show you. You have the opening high at that 127.8 on a 3-minute. Then you have the resistance at 127.8. And now you have support at 127.8. So when it dropped underneath, I'm like, oh, shoot, it's resistance again. This is all lining up at the same price. That's why we keep saying it over and over again. A close back above there still remains bullish, and maybe a look for the entry, re-entry back into long. So whatever, like it was a bit of a scalp trade. We were just watching that one price for a little bit of an indicator. I think I heard to go to Adara. I'm not 100% sure. If it is, then we can go to the desk. Oh, it's time for Sector Watch already? It's 10:40. Wow, it's 10:40, guys. Sector Watch.
Interesting board here. There is actually quite a lot of weakness across the board. So we'll start with health tech. Red here pretty much entirely as a group. Energy minerals also super weak as we continue to digest whether or not there's going to be the ceasefire. Hearing more about some talks here in Islamabad, Pakistan over the weekend, where again, we're trying to get some kind of ceasefire talks happening here. Communications weak across the board. Verizon down 3%. Industrial services weak. Finance weak. We have to talk about tech services though, because a lot of these names are to the downside. Meta trying to continue. It's had a pretty strong week. All in all, this one's up just under 1%, but Palantir down 2%, but still bouncing off the lows after President Trump mentioned the company. And for the first time that I've ever seen, he actually called out their stock ticker as well. So he said Palantir Technologies in brackets PLTR. I've never seen him do this before. So again, that's really significant. That being said, the SaaSmageddon, as it's been called, is continuing with CrowdStrike and Palo Alto down 7% and 8% respectively. We also have CRM and ServiceNow, the latter of which got a downgrade. They're both trading lower as well. Electronic tech, though, despite the weakness in a lot of other sectors, is doing relatively well. NVIDIA, Apple, Broadcom, AMD, all to the upside. And if you go back to producer manufacturing for a second, this is another sector that is relatively strong. Please make sure to like and subscribe as we send you back over to Joe and Neil.
Thank you very much. The ticker thing, I was just telling Sharif, the ticker thing is intense. So we just had a very big right turn in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
First, because USO did this and just went through the volume weighted average price. So that trend break, it was a downtrend break and it's heading higher. Oh, that's such a chase. So Bitcoin obviously broke the trend as well. Into this, looking for VWAP, you can see bids. The Qs also did a bit of a right-hand turn there, all the way down and in through VWAP. How about Palantir in that move? Yeah, Palantir's coming back. Well, suffice to say, I mean, I guess that turn in the market is going to cause that pullback in Palantir. We'll go back to Adara. Whoops, we have a super chat. We'll get that when we come back.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a pop here in USO. Not a massive headline here, but latest Middle Eastern headline I've seen about a minute ago. Israeli military reporting, unfortunately, 2 soldiers were injured by drone debris in southern Lebanon, so more strikes happening. Again, there is a spike in USO. If I get anything else for that, I'll let you know. There was a headline on Google as well. So Business Insider reporting that YouTube is raising its subscription prices in the US for the first time since 2023. Again, GeoOGL, of course, YouTube's under Google's umbrella, so that's why GeoOGL is on watch with this YouTube headline. If I get anything more on the Middle East, I'll let you know.
Well, that might be that could be the kind of thing that someone just said the moment's gone there in Palantir. If we're going to have that kind of a turn in oil futures and the Nasdaq, that bounce might be a little bit short-lived. We got Mikhail Beckford.
What's he saying?
Corruption is not bad.
Not that bad.
Corruption is bad if I'm not involved.
Yeah.
But if I am involved,
that's how
I
it is,
defend it.
man. That's how it is, though. Like
bank error in your favor, man.
Yeah, if
error in your favor.
If you're not involved, like ask everyone who's like, hey, if you were in on that little secret, how upset would you truly be?
I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I was a penny stock trader during the 2-week period where I think it was E-Trade or was it Ameritrade? It was one of the two of them. There was basically there was a scam wash trade that somebody was doing en masse that caused 2 penny stocks that you would never heard of, I don't remember the names, that were literally doing the most volume in the entire NASDAQ for an entire week as someone was wash trading between a prop account and a penny stock account. They changed the rules on rebates a month or 2 later. And I remember watching it happen on the stock that I was trading, and it was like, I can sit there and make the spread too, doing nothing illegal, or I can sit there and do nothing about it. And eventually, after the first day, we're like, this is stupid, this is obviously illegal what somebody's doing, but I could sit on the bid ask and also just make the rebate myself, and they'd be hitting me, not themselves. And eventually, that's what I did. I just broke down and said, If this is now the game on this stock, it just sat there on the bid and the ask and just took fills on both sides, well, this idiot would hit both, and the stock wouldn't move. So it's true, and you have to make that determination yourself. All right, so we're getting a little bit. Palantir's bouncing off.
Are you trying that again, Neil? Or
USO Palantir?
Yeah.
Well, I'm watching, and I'm now looking at the USO trade because I'm into the IBIT reversion.
Try this again.
So with USO pulling back at the highs, the question becomes, do we put in a higher low? If it confirms a higher low, then this trend break, I think, is a little bit better on, I didn't hit save. Then this trend break is a little bit better here on IBIT. Because I just, like that's such a heavy break that I've chased it a bit, but it's now confirmed with the other bar that we're underneath. So I'm into that trade. But Palantir, if you're going long on this bounce, it feels like that, like why wouldn't it be in PLTR? Adara again?
Yeah, let's see.
We have some more headlines here in the Middle East coming from Iran's parliamentary speaker, Galibaf. He's saying that if there's going to be a ceasefire here in Lebanon, there needs to be release of Iranian blocked assets before the talks. So again, he says there needs to be a ceasefire in Lebanon and release of blocked Iranian assets before there's any kind of negotiation with the U.S. and Iran. Furthermore, saying that two of the steps mutually agreed on between the groups, those being, I guess, implied to be Lebanon and Iranian blocked assets, have yet to be implemented. So they're basically saying unless these things are implemented, there's not going to be any negotiations. Back to you.
Yeah, all right, man. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, we're only going to give this $1 to see if Palantir wants to get rock and roll and maybe head towards back this previous pivot from which it started to turn around. It's still down 2.7%, surprisingly so, Neil. After that massive volatility spike, and you have DJT, John Trump himself, essentially saying, "Hey, Palantir has been great." All right, well, let's see how great it can be throughout the intraday session, considering it's been down how long. Good timing, I guess, but Tesla not wanting to participate. It looks like at this point this name might break down. But again, same size here, really small stop. You want to give it $1. I don't know if we're going to get $2 on that front. 29 would put us right around there. So we'll see if we can hold off and potentially find that trade. If not, TSLL, we get out of that one. Our better trade on the day has been the NASDAQ short TSLL. We've been just sitting in it until it breaks this pivot. There's no reason for me to get out of it. So we'll be patient. We are at the top end of the range, and no way am I going to DCA into the fact that, especially a stock where the market has kind of been climbing higher, put in a new high of the day, broke through the pre-market highs. Tesla's just been like, huh? Like, I don't really know which direction I really want to go. But the longer it consolidates, I think the more likely of a breakdown potentially happening here. So let's see what else we got going on. Is NVDA still around the high of the day? Oh, this is what I was looking at. So I went to multiple expirations.
Well, that's Tesla.
Yeah. I went to multiple expiration cycles here to see, like, hey, what's going on at that 347.5 mark? And I see nothing. Like, if we look at the supply, it's nothing substantial. So, I mean, the name's just extremely weak. And the same thing here, like 3 days, and even in the 0 DTEs, you have nothing compared to what you have at 350. I thought at some point maybe we would get a climb to that level, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Downtrend still fully intact on the higher time frame, and I think you have to stick with that narrative. So maybe we avoid for the long, unless we position ourselves really well. Instead of buying the top end of the range, be patient to see if you can get the lower end of the range here on Tesla.
Don't look now. You just looked.
But I didn't see. I
said don't look now.
Okay.
It's a problem is when you say that.
Yeah, people tend to look, man.
RAYA is back above VWAP. That goes for you too, Sharif. RAYA is back above VWAP. It's trying to go. What makes this one very interesting is it failed pretty much almost $1 exactly. 98 cents there, 98 cents there. So sometime, maybe the third time is going to be. I might even like this breakout myself. As long as it stair steps up into it, you know, this stock doesn't need a 15-minute. Who gives a darn? It's a small capper, Neil. As long as it can hold a stair step up and not go parabolic into this breakout, then just stair step it, let it break, and go. Because you take the 98 break, you're in at 99, and then if it gets over $1, you can have a break even, almost a break even stop if you put it at the 95 or 96. Anyways, that's probably for later. You know what? Every time I look at these, I tend to be a jinx anyways. I'll say, look at that, it looks like a good breakout, and then that's the high of the day, and then everyone just like, Neil, man, you jinxed my stock. It was going higher, and then you brought it up, and it happens a lot. It really does. Anyways, IBIT, a couple of fills down into the volume-weighted average price. Still watching. The thing that's going to work against that, though, is USO's coming back.
Coming back in.
So it's still coming back in. And if I'm looking for a long that isn't Palantir, I think it's got to be Intel. So if we're gonna hold here on USO and maybe head back down underneath VWAP, I think the long, it could be this little bit of a breakout here on INTC. Was that a Dara again? Oh my goodness, that's right. It was just 1040. We do sector watch, which means it's 1050. Time for Money Talks.
Let's talk about the US dollar, which is still trading within the range it traded both Wednesday and Thursday. Now, as you know, Wednesday we did gap down with the news of the 2-week ceasefire between the US, Israel, and Iran. As of right now, actually bouncing a little bit off of that Wednesday low of 98.5s. Again, our low here just a little bit higher than that low on Wednesday. Let's see if we can stay above that 98.5 level if we break below and make a new low of day and of week. Let's actually take a look at that weekly chart given that gap down. So as you can see here, DXY certainly on track for a losing week, down 1.5% on the week. I want to talk about some economic data because we had a couple economic data releases today, one of which was actually historic, but we'll start here with CPI. CPI here mostly in line. Month-over-month print exactly in line with estimates here, 0.9% above the prior print. But again, what we were expecting, CPI year-over-year, 3.3% in line with estimates of 3.4%. Now, these core prints, both month-over-month and year-over-year, 0.1% cooler than expected. So kind of a mixed look here for CPI. It was not as mixed of a look, though, for University of Michigan consumer sentiment. The preliminary print for April 2026, guys, was 47.6%. This is a record low. So again, preliminary reading, but still, what I'm seeing here is this is a record low for the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. It was also well below, of course, estimates of 51.5. One-year inflation expectations, 4.8%, sharply above estimates of 4.2%, but the 5-year inflation expectations for April were exactly in line with estimates. So what you're seeing here is not as much enthusiasm here or excitement or optimism for the economy and concerns about near-term inflation, though longer-term inflation expectations, to borrow a term from Fed Chair Powell, appear to be anchored right now. Let's take a look at the CME Fed Watch tool. Speaking of Powell, 98.5% chance that we are not going to get a cut in April. June, 97% chance of no cut in April. I was also reading, apparently it looks like we might get this confirmation hearing for Kevin Warsh as Fed chair. It's going to be a little pushed back as far as I was seeing. There's also yet to have any submission of these financial disclosures. If I get more details, I'll let you know. And you know I'll be watching that confirmation hearing with an open ear and lots of excitement. But again, looks like we were initially expecting to have that next Thursday. Now that's going to be in limbo. Back to you.
Dara, yeah, the confirmation. We'll have to wait. It'll happen eventually. Oh, the position board.
Position board's out.
It went away. Once the next fill comes in, it should be fine.
RAYA? RAYA.
RAYA is apparently going.
Not
so the only new position for me. Oh,
not the site RAYA.
Not the site.
If you know, you know. Yeah, it's like it's a celebrity dating site apparently.
Why would I know that?
Well, I'm just saying, if you know, you know. No, but brother, what do you mean? Why would I know that? What do you mean? I'm not like, what do you think? I'm no form of celebrity. Obviously, I know that everybody knows RAYA at the end of the day. Well, I guess you didn't know that because, I mean, so not everybody. But aside from that, no, it is. I'm pretty sure it's like where the celebrities go on. It's like
Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
Do you know the site RAYA?
I don't know if that deserves a poll, man.
It does now, because I don't think anybody can know this. So start voting. Do you know of the celebrity dating site according to Joe of RAYA? And he said that's how you spell it, so I'm just gonna assume that's how you spell it.
It might even be with an E to be, but anyways.
Now you say it's.
Well, I don't know.
It's gonna be all. How many times can I type 2 for no? Because this is all no's. 84% to 85%. You see how quick I had to put up a poll when I know what the answer is going to be? That was that was light work.
Light work, man. Yeah, everybody's flooding the chat with the no's, man. The disrespect is crazy. Dara, have you heard of this app?
I mean, I knew the name, but I didn't know what it did. Like, I've heard of a celebrity dating app. I've heard of RAYA. Did not know the two were the same thing. I'm going to be honest.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know. I know the stock is not the same as what we're talking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we should probably say that. Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
Right? So, like, the stock is definitely, I don't even know if it's a publicly traded name.
Oh.
I mean.
Probably, I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like if it was publicly traded, more people might have heard of it.
What did that poll come in at?
It's 82%. I can just end it right now because it's over.
Did me dirty there, man.
It's over. It's over. No, 66 seconds the poll was up. Got 126 votes, 82% of you said no. Back to the markets for a quick second, because we're still, man, after all of this is still an inside day in the NASDAQ. Let's get this analysis out of the way. This is, look at that. Like, look at the last couple of days in the NQ, and then zooming in to be able to show you on a 15-minute the utter nonsense that today has been. Wick tops at the top, wicks at the bottom. That's a complete chop fest if you've been trying to play in the futures, which means you need to be in individual names. I did go into a trend break. I'm in trend breaks in either direction, which I guess is what happens on a whippy day. They got the trend break on Intel, which held the prior bar but hasn't really broken too much higher. I think the stop is looking at the right spot at the prior bar for now. And then IBIT, similar. I mean, the entry of this one was on the reversal in USO, and then the more traditional, hey, this is where you should be when it breaks the trend. It's still in the scalp range, looking for the pullback into VWAP. Looking over at USO in general, this has bounced off VWAP and now sitting in the middle, so it's diddling. A breakthrough lower, and the longs should work. If this makes a fresh high, and you're trading anything that's following the market, well, you know the opposite is going to be true. But, and you have to hit the button for this.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. We got to pull a Palantir here momentarily.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I'm ready. What am I hitting?
Lunch.
Oh, okay. Hold on. You didn't give me that much time to set up there.
I might, actually, you know what? I might have this one somewhere.
Here we go.
Okay, good.
Here, hold on. We'll do it one more time. Oh, okay. So hold on. This is the launch that we've been waiting for all week. For Adara is saying the flag, and then what is actually on the menu aren't even close and don't even essentially work together.
So I 100% agree with the sentiment that the flag makes zero sense in this particular case. The flag that we are working with today is.
Okay.
And what we are actually eating, there's nothing wrong with this, buttermilk fried chicken with house-made ranch. I mean, how many times can you just...
I like
mashed potatoes with gravy.
Damn.
Roasted vegetables, and here's the best part that you know makes it not Canadian. Island slaw.
Island slaw.
Now, I know we got a lot of West Indians in the GTA and in Canada in general. If that sounds Canadian to you, then I don't know what you're talking about. But it sounds, that is delicious. No, first of all, and someone said Scott's like in the chat, that's American, but there's no biscuits. If it's fried chicken without biscuits, then it's not. You gotta have the biscuits. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Cheddar
So, what's your favorite? Are you a big like Willie's? You know Willie's jerk, obviously.
Yeah.
What's your favorite like West Indian spot? Why are you looking at me like that? Are you gonna say Sunrise or something?
No. I'm being dead honest about this.
Yeah.
My aunt.
Okay, that's fair, but
and she has a nickname. We call her, so it's my Aunt Jennifer, who's also my other godmother. And when she decides to throw down, she doesn't play.
Throw down, yeah.
She doesn't play.
Same
my Aunt
here,
Viv
same
too.
here, yeah.
She's probably not watching. My Aunt Viv throws down with the best of them. My mom doesn't do jerk chicken. Like she won't.
Okay.
She makes a lot of West Indian dishes. She never makes jerk chicken. Probably because my dad doesn't do spices anymore, so he's never eaten it. But trust.
Same, my Aunt Jackie.
No, it's just, it's always
shout out to Danielle, my cousin. She tunes in once in a while. Aunt Jackie and Jessica, they throw down. They make the best Caribbean food. Right. You know what it is? It's like, so I'm a big steamed cabbage guy. I love steamed cabbage. Yeah, exactly. And then they do the jerk, right? And they do the curry chicken the best. That's for sure.
Oxtail.
But if I had to. I'm not the biggest oxtail. Obviously, a little gravy on the rice. I don't mind it, but like I prefer to go with like a salmon, the curry chicken, or the jerk chicken over the oxtail for sure.
With fried dumpling.
Of course, brother. With fried dumpling.
Little plantain on the side.
Exactly. Boiled dumpling when I'm actually on the island, brother. Yeah, you know how it goes.
All right, now I want to eat. Yeah. Oh, which is that's an interesting coincidence because we can't. It is 11 o'clock already.
Is it?
I see.
Oh wow.
Why does it say? You're not doing. You doing both? You doing all day?
It's me, man. All day.
I didn't know you were doing all day.
These guys get it.
Bro, I didn't know you were putting in work.
We're putting in work here.
So we'll let him matriculate over there for a quick second. We'll give you a quick little update on what's going on because obviously the big story, inside day for the market, I think probably the biggest story was the single post. I don't want to say tweet, but the post from the president, and Palantir catching a bid. Finally, the buyers have come back to Palantir. And all it took was a mention by President Trump. Fresh lows. Look, the timing of that, right when it is trying to bounce support. But can it hold? That's going to be the big question there for sure. Oh, I should see what happened to RAYA. I know you guys are probably going to talk about this. Did I really jinx it? Please tell me I didn't. And go back to the highs for everybody. See? Haha. What's up now? You did get to $1. I didn't jinx anything. It did get to $1, so good luck anyone that's trading that one. We'll throw it on over. I'm gonna get some fried chicken at some point. I don't know if it's here already, but if it is, I'll be eating it right quick. And we're gonna throw you over to, well, it's gonna be Joey Options again, but also the professor himself, Sharif, who's got the best tan basically in the office for probably quite some time here. Sharif, you're not playing around. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Good luck, everybody.